Over on the West End, we've got a crash right there at Bowling Avenue. In Antioch, police reporting a wreck Bell Road at Hickory Park Drive. Another crash Nolensville Pike at Welch Road. And then Tusculum Road at Nolensville Pike. I'm Ken Weaver.
Hello, kids. It is time for the Matt Murphy Radio Show, underway for another day. Too bad there's nothing going on in the news, huh? It's Thursday, March 5, 2026, and we have, as you might expect, a good bit to talk about. You can find us on a variety of platforms. Let me throw those out at you very quickly before I tell you where we are. We're on location. On location, I hesitate to say live and on location because we're always live. But rarely do we get out and about. But today we are. We are at the Nashville Fairgrounds Boat Show. Very excited to be here. And we'll tell you all about that over the course of the next 4 hours. Now, you can find us on iHeart. You can find us on Spotify or TuneIn. Those are 3 platforms that post up news, information, music, and in our case, news and talk radio. You can also find us on our own app. SuperTalk 99.7 WTN. Take us wherever you'd like to go. And then there's, of course, the good old radio dial, 99.7 on your dial, and Talk TV. YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, Rumble. YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, Rumble. Episode 991 is now officially underway. It is also day 410 of Donald Trump's second term as president of the United States of America. We'd like to remind you of that, especially for you liberals out there in the audience, because I know it drives you so much crazy. That's out of 1,460.5. Now, 410 days in his second term. That's pretty cool, right? And you know what? I love the fact that his administration is intact. Everybody is going in the same direction, rowing in the same direction, going gangbusters, and every single one of them will be here for day 411 and beyond. Not so fast, Kristi Noem. Not so fast.
Not you.
Not you. Everybody that's going to be here tomorrow, step forward. Kristi, might want to stay where you are. If you've not heard already, and I'm sure you have, Kristi Noem has been asked politely to step down as the director or the Secretary of Homeland Security. All right, so before we get into any of those things, allow me to introduce you to the players of the show. Obviously, we're out and about at the boat show. Jackson's with us. What's going on, man?
Hello, Matt Murphy.
Oh, geez.
I figured I would bring some gravitas to the boat show.
What are you? Hey, Ken Weaver's back. I'm mad at Ken. He's not out here.
Ken, I am very disappointed that you are not analyzing these boats with us.
Because we know that Ken had everything to do with all of that. Ken just said, no, I don't like those fellas anymore.
I think Ken heard about my nefarious plan to make him wear a life vest throughout the show and decided it was best if he stayed back at the homestead.
I can't take anything you say seriously until you get that voice fixed.
I'm trying, brother. I'm trying so hard. I can't even laugh that hard.
It's the gravitas.
The gravitas.
I had a nefarious plan.
To
have Weaver wear a life preserver for 4 full hours. Mwahahaha.
I wish I was out there with you, boys.
Man, there's a lot of boats out here, boy. There's more boats than you can shake a stick at, Ken. And we're over in Boat Corner. We are in, if you're coming out to the boat show, if you're planning on stopping by, if you want to see us, we're in the corner of, this is room 1?
Exhibit Hall 1
we
is
are
where we are.
We're in Exhibit Hall 1. Go all the way to the back wall, and you'll see us near the boats. There you go. That's all I can tell you.
Just look for the boats, and you'll see us.
Look for the boats, and we'll be right there. We're not in a boat, but we're right beside a boat.
I can touch a boat from here.
You can almost touch a boat. So, Ken.
Yes, sir.
Guess what the first thing I saw when I walked into the boat show was?
A big old tank with big fish in it.
No, I haven't seen that yet, Ken, and I want to. I'm going to go look for that at some point.
Oh, okay.
I walked through, and I'm looking for everybody. And Alan Kirby, who's a great man and a great on-site engineer,
yes,
he texted me. He said, Matt, turn around. You're walking in the wrong direction. And I turn around because he saw me coming in. And I turn around, and there's young Jackson Williams, a.k.a. Jay Willie, a.k.a. Action Jackson, a.k.a. Reaction Jackson, a.k.a. Truffle Butter. And he's buying himself a big old pretzel.
I needed sustenance for the road ahead.
Little carb loading for the next 4 hours.
I was snacky.
Did not offer me a Well, he did offer me a bite of the pretzel.
No, here's the thing.
After he manhandled it. He mangled it.
I didn't even know Matt was behind me because he was stalking me like a night walker. I look behind me. I feel this presence behind me in a suit, and I figure it's time for me to be taken away, and I turn around, and it's Matt Murphy.
I did walk about, I don't know, we walked through how many, what is this? This is number 1?
Exhibit Hall 1.
We walked all the way through Exhibit Hall 2, and I'm pacing him right behind Jackson while he's munching on his pretzel looking at boats. So that's what we've been doing.
Brother Jackson, did you get some beer cheese to dip it in?
I did not. I had a Diet Pepsi, though, to wash it down.
How much did that set you back, Jackson?
$10.
$10. I can't. I just can't even look at it.
Absolutely something, boys. Yes.
Stop it.
I'm
Jackson,
going.
I've got to do the news today, man.
I'm just going home, man. I'm just going to let Jackson do the show.
All right. Let's talk Kristi Noem.
Let's do. Thank you, Jackson. That's a good idea. All right, so it's Thursday. It's March 5. It's 2026. Y'all probably know that by now. You're smart folk, except for those of you in Aniana. It is episode 991 of our gatherings together. 991 episodes, well on our way to 1,000. I hope we make it. You never know. Just ask Kristi. So, you know where Kristi was, Ken, when she found out this news? Any ideas? Anybody? Ooh. Jackson knows. I told him. Minutes before Kristi Noem was to take the stage to speak at a conference in Nashville, Tennessee, President Donald Trump announced he was replacing her as Secretary of Homeland Security.
She's here?
Yes, she's in Nashville. So, I would like to place a call out to anyone and everyone that has any ability to reach out to Kristi Noem. You got nothing going on this afternoon. Swing on by the boat show. We'll get on a boat together. We'll have some conversation. You're going to have some downtime. You probably might want to, get a boat.
Got plenty of time to be on the water.
You might need a boat as the special envoy for the Shield of the Americas, whatever the hell that means. I don't really understand what that means, but that's what Donald Trump said she was and would be henceforth, as she will no longer be the Secretary of the Department of Homeland Security. Yeah, she's in Nashville today, Ken.
Well, I'll be.
Apparently, she was set to take the stage at the Grand Hyatt Hotel. The country music superstar and friend of the show, he's a FOTS, Lee Greenwood, was performing God Bless the USA. Man, oh, man. I can't imagine how much money Lee has made on that song, but whatever. Noem, it was announced that Noem would no longer be the Secretary of Homeland Security. She took the stage anyway, introduced as the 8th Homeland Security Secretary. Not introduced as the current, introduced as the 8th. This was at the conference of the Sergeant Benevolent Association, which is a union of the New York City Police Department. This event was happening at the Grand Hyatt Hotel, and she was set to speak. Moments before she took to the stage, as Lee Greenwood was singing God Bless the USA, it was announced that she was no longer the secretary. So Trump made that announcement on social media, announced that he was replacing Kristi Noem after she was grilled on Capitol Hill about a number of issues, to include a $220 million ad campaign, which, I don't know, maybe according to the government that's not a lot of money, but for me and you, that's good walking around money. And obviously this ad campaign featured Kristi Noem fairly prominently. The current secretary, Kristi Noem, who has served us well and has numerous and spectacular results, especially on the border, will be moved to the special envoy for the Shield of the Americas. I thank Kristi for her service at Homeland. Trump said Gnome would be special envoy for the Shield of Americas, which is his initiative for security against narcotics trafficking in the Western Hemisphere. In other words, Kristi Noem's going to be in charge of blowing up those boats, I guess. I can only guess. But Kristi, take a day before you do any of that. Come on out here. Come to the boat show. Say hello to us. Peruse some boats. Like we say, you might have a little downtime. Might want to get on the water. Might want to jump on out to Percy Priest Lake or Old Hickory.
I promise her a boat will cost less than the ad campaign.
Jackson promises her that there are no $220 million boats. Well, maybe there are, but there are some that are considerably less than that. Will you show me? You said, well, no, I won't get into that. I almost said something I wasn't supposed to say about you and boats. Mm-hmm.
I'm scared of boats.
Are you?
No.
Ahead of the speech, a spokesperson for Gnome told the Tennessean that Gnome's office had, quote, no comment about Trump's statement on Truth Social. Gnome took to the podium at the Grand Hyatt Hotel, spoke to the Sergeant Benevolent Association minutes after the news, did not address it during her remarks. She did tout some of the accomplishments of her agency in carrying out the Trump administration agenda. Gnome refrained from referring much to the president by name. That, according to the Tennessean. After about 15 minutes after leaving the venue, she shared a statement on social media thanking President Donald J. Trump for the new appointment and praising Secretary of State Marco Rubio and Secretary of War Pete Hegseth. I look forward to working with them closely to dismantle cartels that have poured drugs into our nation and killed our children and grandchildren. In this new role, I will be able to build on the partnerships and national security expertise I forged over the last 13 months as Secretary of Homeland Security. Your thoughts on this? Obviously, we open up the phone, 615-737-9986, 615-737-9986. If I were a betting man, and I'm not on these types of things, I don't bet on political shenanigans or chicanery, but if I were a betting man, I would have bet that Pam Bondi would not have survived as long as Kristi Noem. I would have lost to that bet, obviously. Kristi Noem does have accomplishments under her belt, but frankly, most of the accomplishments that you can offer to Kristi Noem, you really ought to offer those to Tom Homan. Tom Homan was in charge of securing the southern border under Kristi Noem. Now, if the buck stops with her, the buck stops with her, and I suppose she gets the credit as well as the blame. But Tom Homan was the architect of most of the victories that occurred for the Secretary of Homeland Security during her 13-month tenure. Otherwise, there were a couple of optical failures. I mean, say what you will about Minnesota, and I'm well on record as I believe in the operations that Immigration and Customs Enforcement is engaged in. I believe that they are doing the right thing. They are not engaged in enacting or furthering the Trump agenda. They are engaged in enacting and furthering the American law as it exists on the books today. They are charged with the duty and have been for a long time. And before they were called Immigration and Customs Enforcement, they were called INS, Immigration and Naturalization Services. And during their entire existence, their duty was to enforce federal law with regard to individuals in this country illegally. Well, that's messy business, and it always has been messy business. Sadly, presidents preceding Donald Trump have not taken that role very seriously. In other words, they just have they've gone along to get along, if you will. Donald Trump came into office on the promise that he was going to shut the southern border down and get the illegal alien criminal lawbreakers out of the United States of America. And I hear Democrats howling about, oh, they haven't broken any laws. They broke the law coming here. And frankly, if they are ensnared with some of the others that have broken additional laws while in the United States of America, well, I'm here for that too. I'm sorry. I always say this, and I repeat it today. I'm sorry if you are in this country illegally that you bought into the concept that if you stayed long enough and laid low enough that people would forget that you are an illegal alien. That is not the way the law reads. That's not the way the situation has ever been. And I'm sorry for you that you bought into that lie. Because that's what it was. You were told a lie, and you thought if you lay low, you can get away with it. That isn't the way that it goes. Now, does that mean that we need to deport every single person that is here illegally? Some would say yes. I do not believe that. I believe that after we get the worst of the worst out, after we get that top layer off, we can have discussions about what punishments should be meted out for other individuals that are here in the United States of America. All that to say that Kristi Noem was exercising her role in executing those duties, and for the most part, the positives that happened under the tutelage of Tom Homan. Minneapolis was a disaster, and it was a disaster of her own making. It wasn't a disaster in terms of the manner in which we accomplished. It was not a disaster in terms of the goals that were accomplished. It was an optical disaster in terms of how it was accomplished. You handed those that hate our immigration laws, you handed them victories when you didn't need to. And now, hopefully, the new Secretary of Homeland Security will do a better job with those sorts of things. And yes, Donald Trump has already named a brand new Secretary of Homeland Security. At least he has nominated one. He announced on Truth Social that he is nominating Markwayne Mullin of Oklahoma to replace Gnome effective March 31st, the end of the month. The current Secretary, Kristi Noem, who has served well, he thanks her for his service. I just read that. He said Mullin has done a tremendous job in Congress, cited his resume as a former undefeated MMA fighter. He's the only Native American in the Senate. Markwayne is a fantastic advocate for our incredible tribal communities. Markwayne will work tirelessly to keep our borders secure, stop migrant crime, murderers, and the other criminals from illegally entering our country, end the scourge of illegal drugs, and make America safe again. Mullin, the first American senator that would be categorized as a Native American in decades, and really the only one that I know of outside of Ben Nighthorse Campbell, who served out of Colorado for any number of years. He seemed to be caught a little bit off guard based on the announcement. He was going to vote on DHS funding, and then he got mobbed by the media that wanted comment, and said that he wasn't sure if he was going to the White House to meet with Donald Trump, and said, I think I need to go and talk to my wife first. Currently does not serve on the Senate Homeland Security and Governmental Affairs Committee, a panel that will be responsible for confirming him, but he does have a strong relationship with Donald Trump. I've got to be honest with you, I wasn't expecting the call today, but I'm super excited. I'm more excited about just getting ready to get started. A lot of work we can do. All right, so there's the top line news. There are more news items that we need to get to include, in my opinion, a shameful vote on the floor of the House of Representatives regarding their desire to cover up their illicit or nasty behavior, and in some cases their illegal behavior amongst their fellow colleagues in the House of Representatives. We'll talk about what I mean coming up in just a moment. It is 23 after the hour on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. It can be hard to find someone you trust when it comes to large home repairs, including heating and cooling. Efficient Heating and Cooling, that is the company that I trust. A small company with big service and big results. They just came out to my home. They made several trips to the house. Roger and the crew at Efficient Heating and Cooling, they tried their best to repair our heating unit. We've just moved into the house, but sadly that 5-ton unit had to go and be replaced. We had a crack in the heater body. They described every step in the operation, and every time that they tried to do something new, they explained exactly what they were trying to do, and all of this was designed to try to help save us money. At the end of the day, we decided to put in a brand new unit. I'm very excited about that. I mean, they got in, got it done, took care of business, and got out. Very, very affordable option with regard to that 5-ton unit. And friends, could not be happier with Efficient Heating and Cooling. Give them a call today. Ask about that maintenance plan that'll never cost you over $125 in their service area. And at some point, you have to replace. And I was there, And I get it, and Jeff Eddy gets it, but you know that when he tells you it's time, you know it's time. EfficientHVAC.net, EfficientHVAC.net, or call 615-784-4424. Hey, friends, it's Matt Murphy. When was the last time your insurance company actually shopped around for you? At King & Associates Insurance, that's exactly what they do every single day. Instead of sticking you with one company's prices, King & Associates searches dozens of top-rated carriers to find the best home and auto coverage at the best possible rates, because no two families are the same. And maybe you've added a teenage driver. Maybe your premiums have crept up. Your insurance should not be stuck in a rut. Maybe it's time to stop overpaying. King & Associates can make sure that you do just that. No hassles, no long forms, no hours on hold. They do the shopping for you. 615-321-8121. 615-321-8121 or tkinginsurance.com. That's tkinginsurance.com, where smart money shops. Why can't I remember this? We're in
And Kristi Noem was in Nashville when she learned her new role in the Trump administration. That story and more at 3:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Super Talk 99.7 WTN. It is the Matt Murphy Show. We are on location. Where are we, Jackson?
Exhibit Hall 1.
Exhibit Hall 1, everybody.
Exhibit Hall 1.
I feel like we're on the is this fair to say that we're on the back wall?
No, I would say we're on the front wall.
This is the front wall?
Where'd you park, buddy?
Well, I mean, I parked over there, but I think the main entrance is over there.
I don't know. I'm just here to add gravitas.
They don't call him the best executive producer in the business for nothing, folks. I don't know. You'll figure it out. When you get here, you'll get here. I mean, I'm asking for the mayor. The mayor's coming by.
Oh, the mayor? Okay, then I'll work on it.
Uh-huh. I think if you go through the central entrance, which is the center hall, which would be Exhibit Hall 2, and you take a left, you get to Exhibit Hall 1, and then you keep going until you hit a wall, and you'll see us along that wall.
You'll also see 3HM.
You'll also see our brother station, 104.5 The Zone, and 3HL. They're broadcasting down the way from us. And look, everybody's just gathered around 3HL, just having a good old time down there. And they're all, look at them. They're all looking at their phones. How sad is that?
Got to be present.
Grown people looking at their phones, just all staring at the phone. I don't know. I don't know what to say about it.
I don't either, Brother Murphy and Brother Jackson.
But you know what? I'm guilty myself. So she must have been hanging out with Crenshaw, LOL. I don't know about that. I'm curious what your thoughts were about the performance of Kristi Noem. I mean, once again, all the good that I can talk about the Department of Homeland Security, frankly, I would give more credit to Tom Homan than I would Kristi Noem. I think this is a positive step forward. You don't make omelets without breaking eggs, and an egg got broken today. She was in Nashville when it happened. Come on out and see us, Kristi. We'd love to get you in a boat. It's Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Time for the news at 3:30.
.30 on the dot. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Got the full forecast and traffic coming up in 5 minutes. Yeah, the Tennessean says Kristi Noem took the stage in Nashville today just minutes after President Trump announced he is replacing her as Homeland Security Secretary. She was speaking to the Sergeant Benevolent Association. Noem made no mention of her ouster, instead highlighting immigration crackdowns and law enforcement partnerships. Trump says that Noem will move into a new role as special envoy for the Shield of the Americas. Her appearance comes after days of intense congressional scrutiny over Department of Homeland Security operations and her leadership. Meanwhile, Trump announced Oklahoma Senator Markwayne Mullin will fill Noem's role at the Department of Homeland Security. And Mullin telling ABC News he's excited to get started.
There's an opportunity to build off successes, and there's also opportunities to build off things that maybe didn't go quite as planned.
He's all about finishing that border wall, among other things. Operation Epic Fury, the State Department says it's closing the U.S. Embassy in Kuwait due to retaliatory Iranian strikes. And the State Department says they've helped at least 10,000 Americans leave the region so far. And President Trump telling Axios today he has to be involved with what he called the appointment of Iran's next leader, similar to how he approved Delcy Rodriguez being in power in Venezuela. And here in Tennessee, a bill that would require Charlie Kirk memorials on every public college campus has been sent to summer study, which could mean it's not going to happen. The institutions claim it will cost taxpayers $18 million. Well, the bill's sponsor, Kingston Republican State Rep Monty Fritz, telling WTN's Chris Hanshow that's an exaggerated figure and he thinks it's by design.
This was evidence, brother, that our academic industrial complex needs a reconciliation in Tennessee. They think they're going to continue to pollute our children's minds with wokeism and atheism and communism, and that we can't do a damn thing about it. That's what they think.
Fritz, who is running for governor, says if he is elected, he will withhold funding from any college or university for what he says are woke, atheistic, and communist policies. That's the latest news. Traffic and weather next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News. Antioch got a crash 24 westbound just past Harding Place. Also Bell Road at Hickory Park. Over on the west end, looks like they're about to clean this crash up over here at Bowling Avenue. And then also Nolensville Pike at Welch Road. It is complete stop-and-go traffic northbound 65 to the South Loop. So is a good stretch of eastbound 40 over to 65. I'm Ken Weaver.
Hello, friends. Matt Murphy. United Structural Systems isn't just another repair company. They're your local foundation and waterproofing experts. They live here, they work here, and they understand exactly how Tennessee soil, weather, and homes behave. They are simply trusted in Tennessee and have been for over 30 years. Since 1994, more than 30,000 local homeowners have trusted USS. That experience means they've seen just about every type of problem you can possibly imagine. They understand how to read the signs. Every crack or every leak, it all tells a story, friends, if you know what you're doing. And USS, they know exactly what those signs mean. They pinpoint problems at the source, whether it's foundation settlement, basement water intrusion, crawl space, moisture issues, and much, much more. They offer you engineered solutions that last the test of time with transferable lifetime warranties. Local service, long-term protection. I want you to contact USS today. They're local, they're experienced, and they're ready to go. You start that journey at USSTN.com. That's USSTN.com. Hello, friends. Matt Murphy and the Matt Murphy Show. We are at the boat show, and it's a pretty big going on out here at the Nashville Fairgrounds. You come on out, see us at the fairgrounds. They're open today. I'm assuming tomorrow. I'm going to go ahead and assume over the course of the weekend you can come and see a boat. That's not Jackson. Here's what I want you to do.
Yes.
We're going to get some reaction on the telephone lines. By the way, 615-737-9986. You can call us right now. Phone lines open right now. Your reaction to the firing, they're not necessarily calling it a firing, but we know what it was, of Kristi Noem. She was in Nashville at the Grand Hyatt Hotel right before, she was set to take the stage when Donald Trump made the announcement that he was replacing her with Mark Wayne Mullen, who is a current senator from the state of Oklahoma, which, strategically, you don't want to remove, you can't pick anybody from the House before the midterm elections because you would lose. I mean, you've already, what is it, a 1-2 vote majority right now? You would lose that if you select someone from the House. So the Senate was kind of a necessity there. And Oklahoma being a safe red state, the expectation would be that the replacement would be a Republican, and then eventually the subsequent special election that occurs as a result would result in a Republican as well. Your thoughts on all of this at 615-737-9986. How long, Jackson, do you think it would take you to count all these votes? Rest of the show?
Rest of the week.
I mean,
are you willing to give me the day off tomorrow?
I'm willing to continue this conversation. Pull that mic. You got to get that up. Yeah, there you go.
Better.
Oh man, you sound so good. Give us a gravitas.
Gravitas.
Yeah, I like that. I feel like the mayor's getting close because we have security personnel that are on the way. So that means that the mayor is on the way. So you go look for the mayor while I talk around here.
All right.
And we will okay, yeah. She's going to bring him. She's going to bring him. She's going to let us know.
I don't need to go on a.
You don't need to go on a fact-finding mission. But I think, of all three of the exhibit halls, I think it would take you a minute or two to count them all. I bet somebody's already done that.
I'm sure they have it counted. We may need to ask somebody who works here.
So how many? What would be your guess?
I would say in this room or in the boat show in totality.
Boat show in totality.
I would say 300 boats.
That's a good guess. I was going to say 60 in this room.
Oh, there's way more than 60 boats in here.
Well, there's 9 on that row. Is there a dozen?
I would bet there's 100 boats in this room. Easy.
Okay, well. Are we playing Price is Right rules on the 100 bet? Yeah, we're playing Price is Right rules. Closest without going over?
Sure.
Okay, I'm going 80.
I'll say 81.
Ken Weaver's that guy. Oh, he went 81. 81. The only thing worse than the people that go the one over are the people that bet $1.
Yeah.
Ugh, those people.
That's about all I've got.
Oh, well, you probably got me beat there, Weaver, because now we got people counting boats. That's good. All right. In other news, we will get to state and local news coming up in just moments with our guest, Freddie O'Connell, who'll be here for about a half an hour with us, a little less, as he slides into the boat show here in just a couple of minutes. This story, I hate it. I hate this story involving our public officials trying to shield themselves from public scrutiny, but it happened, and it's one of those that we obviously need to talk about. So, hold on, let me pull this thing up, where the House of Representatives had an opportunity to vote transparency, right? And they chose not to. The U.S. House voted 357 to 65 to block the release of sexual misconduct reports in the halls of Congress. I wonder what the vote would be if we asked the American people to vote on this matter. Now, what I'm being told is, well, that's unfair. It's unfair because not all of these people have been convicted of any crime. As a matter of fact, not all of these people have been accused of any crime. These are individuals that have been perhaps accused of wrongdoing or shenanigans, chicanery, if you will, a little touch and go. In the halls of Congress, but they've not been accused of any crimes per se, Matt Murphy. Well, you know what? There are plenty of accusations that are thrown around in the general public every single day that don't rise to the level of crimes that get public, that don't rise to the level of any fireable offense, but they still are in the public eye. And I would argue that there are plenty of times when men, primarily men, are accused of sexual impropriety when there was none. Now, if there is evidence of sexual impropriety, that needs to be handled swiftly, and if any criminal behavior went down as a result, then people need to be charged, whether you're in Congress or you're not in Congress. But the congressional delegations of Tennessee and every other state in the union should be treated just like Matt Murphy, just like Jackson Williams, and just like every other American. And I would argue that instead of covering up some of this sexual impropriety, that, by the way, everyone that's been in Washington, D.C. knows how much this goes on, okay? It is an open secret that many representatives and senators, they go to D.C. I'm just going to tell you like it is, folks. I'm going to lay it out there where the goats can graze on it. These are very important people. And these important people in positions of high authority and power engage with a lot of people, a lot of lobbyists and other individuals on a regular basis. And they're away from their families for long periods of time. Invariably, things happen, if you know what I'm saying. But it is an open secret in Washington, D.C., that Congress people, they go up there, they get themselves that cushy job, they get themselves an apartment, and they get themselves a mistress. I mean, that's just the way that it is. And sadly, much of that oftentimes leads to accusations of impropriety, accusations of infidelity, which is obviously what we're talking about, and sometimes accusations of sexual misconduct, allegations of sexual misconduct. But some would say, well, an allegation does not equate to someone being guilty. I get that. I understand that too. Those that are making the accusation should be held to a very high standard as well. And if it is discovered that an individual made an accusation against a lawmaker or anyone else for that matter, then there should be some level of criminal or financial, civil liability against that person. In other words, they should have to pay a sum of money or spend some time in jail for making some of those false accusations. And we know the stories. The Duke Lacrosse case is probably the most infamous one. There was the case out of the University of Virginia, I believe it was, with Rolling Stone magazine leveled an accusation against the university, and I believe it was University of Virginia, if I'm not mistaken, and it was all made up. It was just wholly untrue, and eventually it was found out. If these accusations are being leveled and they're not true, and it's found that the person that leveled them knew them not to be true at the time that they made the accusation, then they need to be held to account. But that doesn't mean that you cover it up. I mean, Congress has a slush fund, for goodness sake. A sexual misconduct slush fund. Does that seem right to you? Sure as hell doesn't seem right to me. 615-737-9986. Gary Condit. Oh, my goodness. I haven't heard that name. I haven't heard the name Gary Condit in years. Wasn't that around 9/11? 4895 writes Gary Condit. I think that was around the time of 9/11. If I'm not mistaken, I believe I was still in Montgomery, Alabama at the time. Wow. And his so-called mistress went missing. He was a congressman. I want to say out of California. Could be wrong. 3769 writes in and says, so if you're not better than me, what qualifies you to be a leader? Well, it's a fair point. I just do not I do not believe that special privileges should be given to congressional members of Congress or any sort of congressional delegation unless you demonstrate to me that those special privileges are necessary for the function of their jobs. So some of these Congress people get security. They get security because there are legitimate threats against them. That seems to be legit. Some of these folks, they have access to classified information, and that classified information cannot be made public because that classified information might endanger individuals in the military or other, law enforcement apparatus, et cetera, et cetera. We overclassify things way too much in American society. That said, I understand why a congressperson might be privy to classified information that you or I are not privy to. But my goodness, other than that, why in the world are we offering this special treatment or special privilege? They should be held to a higher standard, not a lower standard. And I'm sad to report to you that many of our Tennessee delegation, most of our Tennessee delegation, voted against opening up these files and making some of this information public. The only two, to my knowledge, and I think one might be coming on the show at 5:05 this afternoon, Congressman Tim Burchett and Congressman Andy Ogles. Those two congressmen out of the state of Tennessee voted in favor of opening this information up to the general public. Other than that, John Rose, who I believe was on the Chris Hand show earlier today, Hand told me that he offered I don't want to mischaracterize the way that Hand said it. We were recording our podcast earlier, and Chris said that he offered a fairly weak excuse. I think that was the characterization as to why he voted in the way that he did. You've got John Rose voting that way. You got Scott Desjardins voting that way. Matt Van Epps just got up there. What is Matt Van Epps voting that way for? Obviously, Chuck Fleischman, David Kustoff, Harshbarger. I don't know. Let me see. Can I name the entire Tennessee congressional delegation? John Rose voted against opening this up, as did Harshbarger, as did Fleischman, as did Kustoff, as did Van Epps. Did I mention John Rose? I think I did. Ogles and and Burchett were two of the good guys. Desjardins voted in the negative, and then Steve Cohen from over in Shelby County also voted against opening this up. Is that a federal slush fund? It says 7213 make the states pay for that lawsuit, and then all of the voters will know how much it cost us and who's guilty. The slush fund, look, I don't know what it's covering up. I don't know if it's covering up anything. I would suspect that as close to the vest as they're holding this information, it's covering up something. Who knows what? We're not going to find out anytime soon because, my goodness, they protect themselves, don't they? Van Epps told Mandis this morning that he voted yes on this. Well, he voted, as far as I can tell, and I did not hear the interview. I do understand that Dan had him on. As far as I can tell, Van Epps voted with the others that voted to keep all of this on the hush-hush. So if he said something differently to Mandis, I missed it, and I apologize. If y'all heard it, let me know. 615-737-9986, 615-737-9986. We're at the Nashville Fairgrounds, the big boat show going on all weekend long. Come see us. What exhibit hall are we in, Jackson? Number 1? We're number 1. And the mayor of Nashville will be along with us in just a couple of minutes. He's on his way. Looking forward to talking to him about NES, property taxes, the fairgrounds, and much, much more at Super Talk 99. If you've got any questions, by the way, for the mayor, get them in here. 615-737-9986 via the Super text line. It's the Murphy Show on Super Talk. Grace Point Healthcare, we call it modern medicine delivered the old-fashioned way. Friends, it's springtime. I know that the calendar doesn't indicate that it's spring until later on in the month. But for all intents and purposes, it's 80 degrees coming up over the course of the next several days. So it's spring, right? And with spring comes seasonal allergies. And, boy, they hit me hard. But I'm not suffering another year in misery. I'm getting to Grace Point Healthcare and getting a complete test and treatment so that I can enjoy everything that the season has to offer. As the temperatures begin to increase, so do people's social engagements. If you're getting out and about and you don't feel like you look your best, maybe you want to get rid of those unwanted lines and wrinkles. I'm looking at you, Kirby. Then Grace Point Healthcare offers the most affordable Botox treatment available in the area. I'm just kidding. Kirby doesn't need the Botox. With age and certain lifestyles do come changes in hormones. Grace Point Healthcare provides comprehensive testing and treatment for both men and the ladies to get your body back to its normal rhythms. Besides, this is a direct pay option for your healthcare needs, which is superior to the way the other guys do it because they allow the pharmaceutical industry, the health insurance companies into the doctor's office with you. It should not be that way and isn't that way at Grace Point. Ask them about a B12 shot when you make the call to schedule your appointment today. Do that. 599-6868, 599-6868. Grace Point Healthcare, modern medicine delivered the old-fashioned way.
Well, President Trump has fired Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem, who learned about it right before she was set to speak in Nashville today. You're going to hear from who Trump has tapped to replace her. Also, a report on Operation Epic Fury. Got a full report coming up at 4 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Super Talk 99.7 WTN, anticipating those headlines coming up in just a moment. We are also anticipating a good conversation with Mayor Freddie O'Connell, who is stopping by the Nashville Fairgrounds and the boat show. We're out and about at the boat show in Exhibit Hall. What exhibit hall are we in? 1. We're in Exhibit Hall 1. Thank you, Jackson. You're the best in the biz, buddy. No, don't get up. I'll get it for you. I don't even know what that means. I don't know what I'm lashing out. I think Jackson's mic is technically off, and he wanted to get up to defend himself, and then he realized, you know what, it's not worth it for this knucklehead. Yeah, you have been silenced. That's correct. The mayor has been under fire for a number of different issues, and we're going to talk to him about all of them. If you have any suggested topics or questions for the mayor, then I encourage you to hit us up on the super text line at 615-737-9986. Obviously, we're going to get into the recent storms, Nashville Electric Service. I'm just really curious what else the mayor needs to know regarding the performance of Teresa Broyles Applin. Secondarily, we will talk about the Fairground Speedway. What's taking so long with making a decision regarding the Fairground Speedway? Thirdly, obviously, we'll talk property taxes. And they're stuck at a railroad crossing, but close, I'm being told, by the mayor's office. We're in constant communique. And so we learned that the railroads, they don't even stop for the mayor of the city. I guess that's good news. He's not getting special treatment either. We'll talk with him moments from now, right after the news, and the news happens right now. It's Super Talk 99.7 WTN and The Murphy Show. Stand by.
4 o'clock on the dot. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Got the full forecast and traffic in 5 minutes. President Trump firing Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem and nominating Senator Mark Wayne Mullen to take her spot. ABC White House correspondent Selena Wang.
We're learning that this really was a process that was long in the making, but what really tipped the president over the edge was those congressional hearings this week, where she was pressed about that $220 million taxpayer-funded ad campaign that heavily featured her. And we're told that the president was very angry about how that came off. And so that's really what was the straw that broke the camel's back.
ABC's Olivia Rubin says if confirmed, Mullen will take over amid a partial government shutdown that affects the Department of Homeland Security.
Well, he was asked about that. What is he going to do differently? And, he certainly just got this appointment, so he didn't give too many details, but he did say he wanted to build on the successes of his predecessor, Kristi Noem, and he said critically to change some of the things that haven't gone so well.
The Tennessean says Noem appeared in Nashville today as news of her removal as Homeland Security Secretary broke just before she spoke. She touted record deportations, law enforcement cooperation, that is, but avoided any direct reference to Trump's decision. Operation Epic Fury, the State Department says it is closing the U.S. Embassy in Kuwait due to retaliatory Iranian strikes. And the State Department says they have helped at least 10,000 Americans leave the region so far. President Trump telling Axios today he has to be involved with what he calls the appointment of Iran's next leader, similar to how he approved Delcy Rodriguez being in power in Venezuela. Here in Tennessee, a proposal to ban the drug kratom is moving forward after families shared emotional stories with lawmakers. One mother described losing her 27-year-old son after he mixed kratom with prescription medication, and the TBI chimed in, too.
Son didn't know what he was doing. He didn't know what he was taking. And he assumed because he bought it at a gas station that it was safe.
We're seeing increasing reports of kratom abuse, addiction involved in both fatal and non-fatal overdoses.
But opponents warned that a ban would push the product underground and create even more risks.
A blanket ban sounds simple, but here's what it really does. It doesn't end demand, it ends oversight. People won't magically stop. it moves underground, and that's where there's no minimum age, no labels, no standards. And the products most likely will that will remain are the altered and the unsafe ones, because those are the easiest to traffic and the hardest to trace.
Kratom acts as both a stimulant and an opioid-like depressant. You have to be 21 years old to buy it in Tennessee. CVS is pushing back publicly against a bill that bans companies from owning pharmacy benefit managers and pharmacy retail stores, basically setting prices for the medicines the same store dispenses. News 2 says this is part of this new CVS TV ad in Tennessee.
134 CVS pharmacies across Tennessee shut down, making healthcare less accessible for families like yours. Tell your state legislator. Vote no on SB 2040.
Well, supporters say SB 2040 protects patients and opens doors for independent pharmacies across the state. If approved by the legislature and the governor, the changes would not take effect until January 2028. That's the latest news. Traffic and weather next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News. Yeah, it's like downtown's one big parking lot in some places. Northbound 65 up to the South Loop, and then almost the entire eastbound South Loop from 40 West to 40 East is completely stop and go. Same goes for northbound, the North Loop, and then the eastbound East Loop. Some of it has to do with a crash over here on the East Bank going westbound to Shelby Avenue. Then in Laverne, we got a crash, off-ramp partially blocked, 24 eastbound to Old Hickory Boulevard. And in Antioch, a stalled vehicle on the right shoulder, 24 westbound before Haywood Lane. I'm Ken Weaver.
Hey, this is Pastor Al, and join us on Super Talk 99.7, Sunday evenings from 7 to 8. We're going to look at the news from a biblical perspective.
Oh, you can criticize Mayor Freddie O'Connell about a lot of things, but you cannot criticize him for not being punctual, and even in the face of a train. He is just arriving at the Nashville Fairgrounds. We're out and about. I love this. I love the fact that the mayor. Listen, I'm supposed to yell and scream at you. And you know, and I probably will. Get him some when you get a chance. Get some volume for him too, there, Jackson, if you don't mind. Here, I'll do it for you. But I'm gonna say thank you for managing the trains because apparently you're doing well enough where you got here on time. And by the way, in all seriousness, before we start fussing and fighting about a variety of different things, thank you for coming out and thank you for being available on the show. You don't have to do this. You do it because you want to speak to the folks in Davidson County and the surrounding communities about Nashville and the future of the city, and we appreciate that.
No, glad to do it.
You got to give me something now. Thank you.
Right,
yeah, there we go. There we go. There we go.
Now we go. Yeah, sorry about that. We did have, I will say, one of my top policy priorities is railroad crossing elimination, especially after today. We did get here just about on time. No,
That's
but
good.
I appreciate the conversation you've brought to Nashville area listeners, and always glad to be a part of it. Try to be in as many, you know this, I mean, I've tried to be in as many parts of the county as I can, talking to as many different types of people in Nashville as I can.
I do know that about you, and I know that you, well, at least based on comments that I have seen, I feel like that you share a lot of the concern that many of your residents and the surrounding communities have experienced over the recent storms. And I just want you, before we boil it down into specifics, I just want you to give us a general thought from the mayor of Nashville about what you have learned thus far.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing we've learned is that historic events, the kinds of things that lack precedent in a local area, are one, they're hard. It's hard to understand the magnitude of that, and it's hard to, I think, understand how taxing it is for a system that's even able to respond to some amounts of crisis is once you get to that level. Because I think about it this way, Matt. There are not many events that happen in a city the size of Nashville, or in if you take into account the entire footprint of the storm. The impact we had here was not 8, 10, 12 inches of snow. It's a half an inch of ice, and what that does. So it meant we had more tree damage than any other single event in the city's history, according to NDOT and Parks, what we've gathered so far. We had more utility pole damage for NES than they've ever had in their history as a utility. And there just aren't that many times when hundreds of thousands of us are making a choice every day about whether we can safely stay in our homes. That just doesn't happen that much.
What more, I mean, do you have confidence in Teresa Broyles Applin that she can continue to lead as CEO NES?
So here's what I'll say. We had, while I've been in office, and even starting beforehand when I was on Metro Council, I started to see under her leadership an ability and a willingness to lean into some things we had looked at in NES that I had thought made sense, including things like utility burial, including things like simplifying and strategically improving their network. They had been working on that before the storm arrived. I do think she has given indications that for ordinary times she is a capable leader, and I think she learned a lot. And I think the question is going to be for her board, for state legislators, for people especially out of county, can she demonstrate a level of confidence in her leadership that is cross-cutting?
What would it take, or do you believe that it's even appropriate for you as mayor? You appoint the board.
Yep.
It's approved by the Metro Council. You were on the council.
Mm-hmm.
I've been told by council members that those approvals are fairly perfunctory.
I wouldn't say so. You could look at times even this term where we've had nominees turned down, or when council has the opportunity to nominate, which they do for several of our boards and commissions, very competitive and or contentious nominations. So, but I'll say we also try to do as much as we can on the front end to go find good, qualified nominees, to talk to council members about why we're appointing who we are and what their qualifications are.
If you had the ability, singularly as mayor of Nashville, would you fire Teresa Broyles-Applin?
It would be unlikely unless, as we've seen in at least one recent event, we had a clear finding that a decision she made was clearly a result of what was going on. Because I'm looking at utilities across not just Tennessee but everywhere, looking down at cities that have had similar scenarios, ice storms like ours. We got our schools open faster than most communities in Tennessee. We got, if we look at other utilities with smaller footprints in Tennessee, we got to that 5 nines restoration rate faster than a lot of them, and this hit Nashville harder than a lot of places.
What I don't understand, and I don't know the CEO of NES, so this is not personal for me, but what I don't understand is that there was a clear directive under her leadership to protect the canopy of Nashville, and that's fine. If the citizens of Nashville want their trees and want to enjoy the beauty that goes along with them.
So I don't know what that was. I mean, I'm hoping this is, you've probably seen this. Their board has said, we're going to hire a couple of attorneys with a lot of experience doing this. We're going to do a rapid assessment to look at things like that. It's not. I've heard this, but I haven't gone in depth on it. Again, if this is something that it turns out that was her direction, I can tell you, I talked to Governor Bredesen about this in the setting up of the commission. Going back to 1994, this was where the modern era tree trimming policy for NES came from. I don't know that there have been big adjustments to it, but we should figure that out.
Well, what I have trouble not understand is if you understand what your policies are in terms of canopy. If you receive an internal report last November saying, hey, if we have an ice storm, what we have done here to protect the canopy, the citizens say they want that puts us at further risk, then how can you, I can accept that on one side, but a lack of preparation in terms of linemen and staging in ways that in similar cities we've seen reports where thousands of linemen were staged in North Carolina, thousands of linemen staged in Atlanta.
So this is exactly the thing I'm talking about, though. We found, for instance, during the middle of the ice storm, people making accusations that NES was leaving line workers on the sidelines. And I talked to regional leadership for the IBEW, which has access to a lot of line workers, connected them directly to NES leadership, and it opened a channel. We got told by other people that thing had not happened. So I can tell you definitively one line of accusations that was made at NES is provably untrue because I had firsthand knowledge of it. It may be that there are some things in the mutual aid contracting process or whatever that slowed things down for other reasons, but I can sit here and tell you I am aware of some allegations that got raised that are untrue. I haven't looked at a report or financials on the tree trimming scenario yet, all those things, and that's the kind of thing that if I had it right in front of me and it was clear that there was, a pattern of lack of preparedness, that'd be one thing. But I've also heard a lot of things about other utilities' level of preparedness that turned out to have other complications to them.
Do you believe that $654,000 is an acceptable amount of compensation for the CEO of NES?
I mean, this is a hard one to judge on because if I'm looking at all of the executive leadership and the public level, I raised that question myself when I was on Metro Council looking at overall levels of NES compensation, and what I heard from board members at the time was, this is sort of a necessary competitive landscape to get a credible leader for a utility of this size.
I've asked this question, and Mayor, it seems that you perhaps are the best person to answer this question because you've served on the council and you're now mayor of Nashville. The Nashville Electric Service is a municipality-owned monopoly. Why do we need a board? Why can't the Metro Council serve as that functioning?
It's interesting because there is some state law indicating this, and the way it was set up under Metro Charter right now, between an initiating private act and the way the Metro Charter is, it would take a charter amendment or a significant change in state law to change that. Right
because now. I've made the case that I mean the only accountability that the voters have are to their councilors or to their mayor with regard to how they believe that NES, a monopoly, is functioning for them as citizens. Now, I'll talk about the outlying areas in a moment, but so if the only person I answer to is the Metro Council, it feels like there's a layer of insulation for them because hey, we don't make those decisions. That's the board.
Yeah, but if you dug, I don't know how much time you've spent reading the Metro Charter, and in this case,
every day, Mr. Mayor, every day as I go to sleep.
Well, good. Then I'm not going to surprise you with anything I tell you here. But we have a number. I think this is an interesting note of just sort of clarification for people. I think there's broad assumption, and I think for me growing up in Nashville, even thinking about with the power of the mayor, even in what is dubbed a strong mayor system, we have dozens of metro departments where board and commission actually has higher fire authority, right? So somebody says to me, well, why don't you just, change leadership at so-and-so? That's not a thing that can happen. I mean, we do get appointees, but this is a once a year maybe type of process for changing perspectives.
Did you, on the Sunday before you announced the commission, did you have a meeting with Finn Partners regarding public relations and how to speak to this issue publicly on behalf of NES? Because it was my understanding that you met with them over the weekend before you came out with that commission.
Sunday we met with NES leadership. Finn Partners sat in there. We asked a bunch of questions, including some things that were specifically about data that was showing up about estimates of restoration that we had, some confusion about. And our directive to NES at that point was this needs to get a lot clearer much more quickly because this process that's happened at the midpoint of the storm seems to be adding to confusion.
Were you aware of the financial relationship that Phil Bredesen has with NES at the time that you appointed him to chair this commission?
I was, but are you talking about specifically the Silicon Ranch scenario?
Yes.
Yeah, I was. We talked about that. The Winter Storm Commission is not intended to be an NES specific, like we don't want it to be even perceived as just hey, this is the NES commission. We want to look at our OEM response, we want to look at NDOT response, we want to look at our voluntary organizations active in disaster. It's a comprehensive thing, and we also know we've got 8 members. It's not something that I'm worried about the conflict.
Can you understand why the public perception would be that that's a conflict of interest? How can he fairly judge NES if he has financial interest and a contractual interest with NES through his company?
I think because he's not in a position to make decisions about NES, and also
then what's the purpose of the commission?
I just explained it. This is to look at how the city is best prepared for a disaster. I guess I'd put it this way. Any interest he has would actually be reliant on NES performing well.
If at the end of this, should someone be held accountable, in your opinion, for what the public perceives as the failures in Nashville of the electrical system to either pre-prepare for this? Because what we were told in the immediate aftermath was, well, we didn't know. How could we have foreseen this? That just didn't ring true, Mayor, with the people. We all heard the reports that ice was coming.
Yeah, I guess, though, I'd go back to, we were sitting at home for 5 days without power and a cold snap kicked in the wake of the tornado. Every single day that went past the first day was frustrating. I remember wondering if we could get guidance on it. But I also feel like, there's a point at which, we were in overdrive making sure that we could clear paths for NES to get to their outage sites, and then also set up warming locations, build all the wraparound scenarios, transportation assistance, all of these things, including right here at the fairgrounds where we're sitting, to make sure that people had options. We set up a fund, we did all these things. We knew this was going to be hard. I don't think NES was under any pretense that this was not going to be a challenging situation. I think they knew there were challenges ahead. I think the hardest part is the flow of information that they allowed. I'm interested in seeing how their comparative performance is. I think we're going to get that with this assessment.
We've talked to several mayors and officials from surrounding counties regarding NES being a part of their counties, but they don't really have any say as to the NES board. Do you understand those concerns, and can you speak to them?
I do. I've talked to several of those same mayors myself, and I've told them we're open to exploring this. Again, I can't make that decision unilaterally as mayor, but we're talking to state legislators, and so are they, to see if there's a potential solution.
A better way to do it?
Mm-hmm.
Let's shift gears, because I know you've got to get out of here in just a couple of minutes. But let's talk about our favorite subject, property taxes.
I thought maybe we'd have an episode where we didn't talk about that, Matt.
Well, I mean, you've got you got business leaders that are coming out and they're sharing some very serious concerns. Do you believe that your comments were fairly represented in the media? Because some
Absolutely
of the
not.
I mean, all right, talk to me about it. Because you said, look, businesses come, businesses go, right?
We had a conversation. We've put the entire transcript up on Nashville.gov, where you can see exactly the context in which it is absolutely the case that the mayor of Nashville does not create or destroy businesses in the city. I mean, that's just not what I do. What we do is try to create the best possible landscape for businesses to come in and grow. And we do that for local businesses. We do that for businesses that are mid-size and large. Our whole focus is economic development.
So when we talk about specific businesses like Acme Feed and Seed or Layla's or Arnold's or Peg Leg Porker or others that say, because of the property tax burden, we have to make decisions about whether or not we're going to be able to continue in business, and they're laying that in your lap.
They're not. I've talked to Layla, and we've gotten a letter from Chris Parro and a bunch of other business owners that has 3 very specific requests, and I think unlike the conversation I had with a local news affiliate where I feel like they absolutely intentionally misrepresented the things I said, this letter is very reasonable. It lays out a couple of requests. We think we're going to be able to respond pretty successfully to it.
Can you talk about those right now?
I have to go through, we're still reviewing it with legal and finance to make sure we can respond, but it sort of looks at it. It says, we know there's an assessment process. We think there may be some things here. We're open to talking to state legislators about where the assessment process itself may offer opportunities for scenarios like what happens on Broadway, where there's a historic district, and on one side of an alley fronting Broadway, you may be in a historic property. On the other side of the alley, you may be in an area where there's a lot more height allowed for the building that you own, but the assessment process isn't necessarily going to take into account that you're in a historic district.
Well, I mean, if I'm hearing you correctly, if we start creating those divisions, are you concerned that that might unfairly punish those that are just outside of the historic district, for example?
This is the biggest challenge, right? And I think this is where the hard part is going to be. If you look at the history of how this works, the state requires you every time the assessor's office, independently elected county assessors across the state of Tennessee, 95 counties, they all go out, they do assess the value of everybody's property in their jurisdiction. When those assessments come back in, the state requires you to equalize the revenue you're getting, but that equalization process doesn't account for 4 years of inflation. Well, we had a 5-year cycle between any revenue raised for the city with a property tax adjustment, and so we had 5 years of inflation to account for. The property tax rate we established, which is the lowest in Metro's history with that adjustment up after equalization, accounted exactly for 5 years of inflation. And and we do need to make sure that that's applied equitably.
But you also understand these businesses look at those property tax increases as a pass-through cost.
Sure.
And they're going to move that on to the end consumer.
Just as they do with inflation or any other cost of doing business.
Well, but we as a municipality chose those rates as opposed to, we have a lot less to do with the inflationary rate.
We do. We're also looking at every possible mechanism for affordability, from housing affordability to small business supports that we can offer, where we just approved a new small business incentive grant. We have fast-growing business grants that we offer. And I will say this, too. The investments we've made in public safety have made it possible for us to deliver in 2025 crime down across the board in every category in every police precinct in the city, including Central Precinct, and to deliver a future workforce with historic performance gains in our metro schools. All of those things add up. We have a series of chartered obligations that we do take into account the impact of inflation, but that's all we're trying to do. And it's exactly why right now with our debt per capita, our credit ratings, the best they've ever been in Metro, the best fund balance we've had in a generation, we are demonstrating to the state not just our credit worthiness, but our overall fiscal responsibility.
As we wrap up, I mean, we're sitting at the fairgrounds. Obviously, you know the Fairground Speedway is a passion of mine. Dale Earnhardt Jr. is coming to town. He's going to be right. That's very exciting. He was at least on record a couple of years ago as saying that if the Bristol connection and then if Nashville and Bristol came together and they revamped that he would consider getting back in a car and riding in a NASCAR ride right here in Nashville, Tennessee, at the historic Fairground Speedway. I mean, I feel like I ask you this every time. I'll ask it again. What's taken so long, Mr.
Well,
Mayor?
have you seen what's happened? Since we last talked, two new things have happened. One, there's now a referendum effort underway by supporters of the Nashville SC. And meanwhile, there's litigation that's kind of frozen that referendum effort. And I will tell you, we have talked to enough council members to know that if we did any proposal whatsoever for funding the preservation of the Speedway, whether Metro were to put capital into it or not, there is no sense within council that they want to know anything until this referendum is decided. So I would much rather get to a level of certainty. We're pretty confident, though, that later this year we'll know.
So you believe the mood of the city is one that would destroy the Fairground Speedway by referendum and bring in some sort of affordable housing? I mean, because that's
not what I believe. In fact, I think the referendum is poorly drafted, and I would not support it.
So I guess I go back to had you your way, and obviously, I mean, the system of government that you operate under is the system of government that you operate under. So you're saying that you simply do not have the Metro Council votes to move any contracts forward right now with Bristol?
That is correct.
Any time frame?
Probably this summer, if we think the court decision we expect to move pretty quickly, and then thereafter there's a definitive timeline to get a decision about whether there will be a referendum this year or next.
Mayor, I appreciate your time. I'm glad you got here, even in the midst of the train. I know that you said you had about 20 minutes with us, and I've enjoyed it.
I've got to ask a key question.
Yeah, let's go.
Are you in the market for a boat?
I am not. You know, I just bought a house, Mayor, and I just bought a 5-ton heating and air conditioning unit for that house and 780 feet of fence for that house.
Yep.
I don't think I'm in the market for a boat. What about you?
I am also not in the market for a boat. I have, a couple of kids that I think right now are telling me
they would love a
they'd
boat.
Like to go to college. So.
Oh, no, your kids would.
Oh, yeah, they would love a boat.
Given the choice between a boat and college, they'd pick a boat every day.
You might not be far off the mark there for our older, but we'll see. I am not taking home a boat today. I'm enjoying looking at them.
No, they're beautiful to look at. I'm getting Jackson to count all of them to see how many exactly there are. We believe that there's in excess of 300 boats. Thank you for your time. You are always available to us, and we appreciate that.
Matt, thanks so much.
All right,
Good
take
to be
care.
with you.
There's Mayor Freddie O'Connell. We've got 4:30. Thank you, Mason, for allowing me to blow through that break. We'll get to the break right now on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Got the full forecast and traffic coming up in 5 minutes. President Trump has fired Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem and nominated Senator Mark Wayne Mullen to take her spot. The move comes after 2 days of hearings on Capitol Hill where Noem fielded questions from Republicans and Democrats about the president's immigration raids, the deaths of Renee Good and Alex Preddy in Minneapolis, and her advertising spending. ABC White House correspondent Selena Wang with more.
This is a really big deal. This is the first cabinet secretary that has been fired by the president in his second term. Of course, in the president's first term, it was like a revolving door of top leadership at the White House. But this time around, the president has kept this to a tight circle of close allies. So it speaks volumes that he has decided to oust her, especially while DHS is currently shut down.
Noem got the news right before she spoke to an event here in Nashville, but she didn't mention her removal, according to the Tennessean. Operation Epic Fury, the U.S. House rejecting a resolution to halt President Trump's attack on Iran. The vote narrow, 212 to 219, with a small number of Democrats joining Republicans to defeat the resolution. Meanwhile, President Trump touched on the war during an event at the White House to honor the 2025 Major League Soccer champions.
We're destroying more of Iran's missiles and drone capability every single hour, knocking them out like nobody thought was possible. As soon as they set off a missile, within 4 minutes, the launcher gets hit. They don't know what's happening.
Trump called on all members of the Iranian Revolutionary Guard, the military, the police to lay down their arms or, quote, they're going to be killed. That's the latest news. Traffic and weather next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News. Madison, 65 northbound has been reduced to just one lane. It's only the left lane that is open right before Dickerson Pike. It's because of a crash. And in Franklin, we've got a crash, 65 southbound at I-840. In Antioch, still got the stalled vehicle, right shoulder block, 24 westbound before Haywood Lane. I'm Ken Weaver.
Hello, friends. It's Matt Murphy. It was a sad announcement when we found out that we lost our good friend and colleague Aaron Stokes with Eurofix. It was sad, but I'm so proud that they're carrying on the legacy that Aaron worked so hard to build at Eurofix, and they're doing it. I mean, they're going to move forward and solidify that legacy of being a good company that treats his employees the right way, that treats his customers the right way, and that's exactly what they do at Eurofix. They make quality repairs at below dealer pricing and have since 1999. Get a free 15-minute no-wrench inspection and a 3-year, 36,000-mile nationwide warranty on all the work that they prepare at Eurofix. Rental cars are also available with every appointment. Stay on the road and off the tow truck. They're family-owned and will continue to be family-owned. God bless Aaron Stokes, and thank you to Eurofix. 5 separate locations. Call Eurofix today at 844-EUROFIX. That's 844-EUROFIX, or online at myeurofix.com. That's myeurofix.com. All right. Super Talk 99.7 WTN back after it. Your thoughts, the aftermath of the conversation with Mayor Freddie O'Connell, who is walking through. He's figuring out which boat he's going to buy. That's what he told me just moments ago. I have that on good authority that the mayor's not getting out of here without a boat. 615-737-9986 if you'd like to be a part of the show. 615-737-9986. I am we're just going to, the mayor and I agree to disagree on some of these matters. I suppose that he looks at this with a different lens and through different eyes. And, you know, you heard the conversation, and I'll leave it to you to decide for yourself what you think about that. Thank you, Mayor. The mayor is taking off. Wait, I thought you were buying a boat before you left. That a little confused. We'll figure it out. Okay. I'm buying a boat, but it's on the mayor's credit, everybody. It's on the mayor's good credit. All right. Raising property taxes that got passed through to the customers is inflationary, correct? And that was a thought to be had, is that, well, you are creating a level of inflation. If you're passing along costs to the consumers, then you're raising the prices, then they have to pay more for those goods and or services, and then by definition, that becomes a certain degree inflationary. Do you think it's fair to have a business owner budget $150,000 one year and have to pay $600,000 the next? That's the entire point. asked and answered with regard to some of those property tax increases. Apparently, the mayor, if I heard him correctly, he said that they're in discussions about some of the concerns that some of the business owners have, and he indicated some sort of historic district abatement, I guess, is what we're talking about. Well, now we're getting into the business of potentially picking winners and losers with regard to where you are located within the city and how much you're going to pay in your property tax rates based on where you're located within the city. Sally said, no, Sally, I'm not repeating that. You almost caught me, Sally. I almost actually said that. Freddie answers questions without answering questions. He is slick. Freddie is, he does, you got to work hard to try to keep up with some of the things that he says. Soft week interview, says 4632. O'Connell got the princess treatment. Well, I would love for you to tell me what you wanted me to ask the mayor that I did not. I'm not immune from criticism, and if you believe it was a softball interview, then so be it. That is your opinion. I hope to ask the questions that I believe that the listening audience wants to get the answers to. We asked him about, obviously, NES and his position that it's too early to ascertain whether or not there were failures. I think it's ridiculous for him to assert that. I think it's plain and on its face that there were failures. And actually, the mayor and I had an interesting exchange right after the interview where he said he asked me if I thought that she had failed to the point that she needed to be fired. And I said, yes, I do. If not for the lack of preparation, then certainly for the lack of communication after the event struck, after we understood the severity of the event, the level of non-communication that existed from that point on merits a dismissal. Even if I were to forgive the lack of preparation, I don't, because now new reports come out that there were only 160 linemen, and new reports come out that that there were not stockpiles of necessary equipment to replace some of the damaged equipment that were damaged by the ice storm itself. Telephone poles, for example. So, no, I'm not here to necessarily, and I understand that some folks just want me to scream and yell at Freddie, and I can understand that feeling. Sometimes I want to scream and yell at him, but at the same time, I think asking questions and getting answers gives us the ability to absorb some of that. Now, some of the news that did come out of that conversation, he says that he has had conversations with county mayors, has had conversations with other city leaders surrounding Davidson County that have concerns about the idea that many of their constituents have NES as their monopoly electrical provider, and yet they do not have any direct say into the leadership of NES. And the mayor indicated that he is in conversations with those individuals, and he understands their concerns and would share them if he were in their shoes. So what is that? That is twofold. At least I read into that a couple of things. Number one, O'Connell knows that the state legislature is about to do something to take this thing over. And he understands that he needs the state legislature to act if they change the leadership role of the board in terms of who is involved in appointing those people. He needs the state involved in that, but he doesn't, I would think, doesn't want the state to go too far in terms of what they do to take control away from Davidson County and make it a more regional post. So, Freddie, it is what it is. The mayor doesn't say the mayor's office and NES alike seem to be of the position that this was an earth-shattering, doesn't happen but once every 30-year storm, and there was just nothing that they could do. That is the feeling that I get when I hear this Teresa Broyles-Applin lady talking. That's the feeling that I get when I'm having a conversation with Freddie about it. That, what are we supposed to do? This was a once-in-a-lifetime deal, and it impacted so many communities. Well, problem with that is it impacted Hendersonville, it impacted Gallatin, it impacted Mount Juliet, it impacted Dixon, it impacted Murfreesboro. It impacted all of these other communities in a similar way, yet it did not destroy the grid in the same fashion, and they seemed better prepared to react to it in a way that NES just didn't seem to be. So I don't know what else he needs. He also said that he was aware that Phil Bredesen had, through Silicon Ranch. Silicon Ranch is a green energy company that does business with Nashville Electric Service. How exactly can we expect a fair reporting of the failures of NES during this ice storm when Bredesen has a monetary interest in NES through contract? Now, I suppose we could say, well, Bredesen's a good guy, and Bredesen would never allow his financial interest in NES to interfere with his duty to offer a fair-minded report. What Mayor Freddie O'Connell said was, well, he doesn't have any authority to take any action anyway, so what does it matter? Well, what does the commission matter? As I asked him, well, then why even have a commission? And his answer was that I want to look at the totality of the events, not just NES, but all of the other organizations, emergency and otherwise, that acted and reacted in the aftermath of the storm, which feels very much like deflection, right? I mean, I don't know of another department within the city that did not act in a fashion that one would suggest was adequate. I mean, the police department seemed to do fine. Fire department seemed to do okay. I mean, as best they possibly could. So it feels like a deflection, but be that as it may. 615-737-9986. Would love to hear your thoughts on all of this. 615-737-9986. As far as the fairgrounds go, and more specifically the Fairgrounds Speedway, Dale Earnhardt Jr. is coming to town. Longtime listeners to my show know that I'm a fan of motorsports, and so I'm drawn to something like the Fairgrounds Speedway. I'm a fan of history, and so that's an additional draw for me. I love the fact that we had a NASCAR race right here in downtown Nashville for so many years. They left, in 1984. I love the history of it. I love the uniqueness of it. But I also know more broadly that once you lose things like the Fairgrounds Speedway, whether I mean, you can't replace it. You'll never get it back. And each city that I've lived in, I've listened as long-timers in those cities lament those lost, unique aspects of their communities that are only there, unique meaning a one-off, and cannot be replicated or replaced. And the Nashville Fairgrounds Speedway is that for our community, whether you like racing or not. It is a shame for me to tell you that there is nothing that I believe that this council will ever do to advance the relationship between Bristol Motor Speedway, their parent company, and the Nashville Fairgrounds Speedway. Sadly, I believe that those individuals are either too woke, too extreme leftist. They look at racing, generally speaking, and NASCAR racing more specifically through a political lens. They shouldn't, but they do. Secondarily, they have been bought and paid for by John Ingram. Meaning, and I'm not suggesting that John Ingram is specifically buying anybody off or pouring money into any campaign coffers, but in terms of the spirit of this project, I think John Ingram has twisted arms and convinced many of these lawmakers that the way to go is to expand his footprint with Geodis Park as opposed to protecting what is a part of the Metro Charter, which is the Nashville Fairgrounds Speedway. The Nashville Fairgrounds Speedway was written into the Metro Charter. And all of it, Freddie talks about referendum. He can lean and hide behind that all he wants. All that is a delay tactic. John Ingram is using his minions like Mike Kopp and others to delay this process to the point that he believes Bristol will eventually give up and go away. And once that happens, racing at the Fairground Speedway will stop. And once racing at the Fairground Speedway ceases to exist, then he's got the property to do with it what he will. He'll throw $3 or $4 million in quote-unquote affordable housing. He'll buy off the ability to get that property. He'll turn it into condos or a parking lot. Mark my words, 4 or 5 years from now, you'll be calling me and saying, Murphy, you were right on this. I know, because I've seen it in the past. And sad to say that no one on the Metro Council, and I would include, the mayor says he's a supporter and there's nothing that he can do. Well, twist some arms and crack some skulls and convince them that this is best for the city of Nashville. Will that happen? I don't have any faith that it will happen. It is 52 after the hour. This will happen. It's time for a break on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Fellas, it's easy to understand why guys want to shy away from the conversation that you should have about your energy level, especially when it begins impacting you in a romantic way, in an intimate relationship facet of your life. If this is happening to you, gentlemen, there is help available to you in the form of Tennessee Men's Clinic. They've been doing it the right way for a long time. Since 2014, Evan Bass and his team at the Tennessee Men's Clinic have been helping people just like you. Gentlemen, let's not whistle past this graveyard, as they say. Let's get to the Tennessee Men's Clinic. Get a comprehensive examination by a qualified urologist for less than $100, $99, full examination. They'll get a little blood work. They'll get results from that blood work. And if it is recommended by the urologist in the office, they can begin treating you first treatment. That's what it's all about. Let's get back in the game, men, with Tennessee Men's Clinic. It starts with a telephone call, 615-208-9090, 615-208-9090 for our friends at the Tennessee Men's Clinic. Online always at TennesseeMen'sClinic.com. Yes, indeed. Super Talk 99.7 WTN approaching 5 o'clock. That is quitting time for many of you in the listening audience, jumping in the cars. And, what?
Quitting time for me?
No. Quitting time for you was based on what I've seen over the last couple of hours. It was earlier this afternoon.
Yeah, once the mayor left, I think it's about time for.
Do you live in Davidson County?
I do.
Is that your mayor?
That is.
Are you proud of your mayor?
I thought that was a good interview, Matt.
I don't think that's. I think that was non-responsive to the question asked.
We have a task force on it, a rapid assessment, and I'll get back to you. The referendum's blocking it.
Oh, is it now?
Yeah.
Okay, so you would answer my question, but the referendum.
Yeah, the referendum.
Okay.
We'll
All right.
know this summer.
Let's get to the news before he digs a further hole. We'll be back in a moment on Super Talk.
5 o'clock on the dot. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Got the full forecast and traffic in 5 minutes. President Trump has fired Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem and nominated Senator Mark Wayne Mullen to take her spot. Mullen's nomination will go through the Senate Homeland Security and Governmental Affairs Committee, which is chaired by Senator Rand Paul. ABC's Olivia Rubin has more.
Well, the president says that he's appointing her to a brand new special envoy position, something that he was planning to announce during a conference he's holding this weekend. Secretary Kristi Noem had responded to that on social media, thanking the president for this new job, and of course saying that she is proud of the work that she did there at the Department of Homeland Security. So this isn't the last of Kristi Noem as part of the administration.
Noem got the news of her removal right before she spoke to an event here in Nashville today, but the Tennessean says she didn't mention anything about Trump's move. Operation Epic Fury update.
This is a special report from ABC News. I'm Michelle Franzen. The Iran war continues to escalate 6 days after the U.S. and Israel began strikes targeting Iran's military sites. Secretary Pete Hegseth at Central Command in Florida.
Our forces are executing with unmatched skill, and the mission is advancing decisively.
Iran expanding its attacks throughout the region, leaving tens of thousands of Americans stranded. The State Department also working on evacuation flights. Today, President Trump calling on Iran's military to surrender.
And I'm once again calling on all members of the Iranian Revolutionary Guard, the military, and the police to lay down their arms. They're only going to be killed.
Law enforcement also on heightened alert in the U.S. ABC News contributor and former DHS official John Cohen says lone attacks will likely be the focus.
FBI is probably taking a hard look at past cases involving Iranian-linked groups to see if there's any information that they can glean from.
This is ABC News.
Here in Tennessee, Mayor Freddie O'Connell tells WTN's Matt Murphy Show there may be ways to ease the burden on Nashville business owners who say they can't afford to stay in business under the recent property tax increase.
We're still reviewing it with legal and finance to make sure we can respond, but it sort of looks at it. It says, we know there's an assessment process. We think there may be some things here. We're open to talking to state legislators about where the assessment process itself may offer opportunities for scenarios like what happens on Broadway, where there's a historic district.
More than 100 local business owners have formed what's called the Nashville Property Tax Coalition to push for immediate relief. And a bill to require Charlie Kirk memorials on every public college campus has been sent to summer study, which means it may not happen. The institutions claim it'll cost taxpayers $18 million. Well, the bill's sponsor, Kingston Republican State Rep Monty Fritz, telling WTN's Chris Hanshow that's an exaggerated figure by design, he thinks.
Let me tell you, if the old boy from Kingston is governor, colleges and universities are facing a reckoning that they are not ready for. I'm going to yank a knot in that rope. We're going to stop this in Tennessee, and I will stop it by pulling money away from them. It's that simple.
That's Fritz, who's also running for governor. And that's the latest news. Traffic and weather next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News. All right, we still got complete stop-and-go traffic northbound the North Loop up to the northern split. Eastbound South Loop over to 65, and then a lot of brake tapping. Usual this time of day, northbound 65 to the South Loop, eastbound 440 over 224. Right now, Madison still got a crash on the right shoulder there, 65 northbound before Dickerson Pike. Then in Franklin, 65 southbound at I-840. I'm Ken Weaver.
Allow me, if you don't mind, a moment to describe to you what's been going on at the Nashville Fairgrounds Boat Show since you've been away. While you were listening to the incredible Ken Weaver deliver the news, Jackson and I were in an in-depth conversation. And in the midst of that conversation, Jackson said, I've got a productive cough, which means I'm probably not coming in tomorrow. And I'm like, man, oh, man, that's just like a millennial. Jackson immediately retorts that he's not a millennial. What are you?
Gen Z.
Gen Z. He goes, what are you? You're probably a millennial or on the back end of it. I looked that up. I'm Generation X, smack dab in the middle of it. It's from 1965 to 1980, and I was born in 1973, to which Jackson then just illuminates me on the fact that his parents are baby boomers. Is that right? Yes. Is that fair? And I was like, well, I'm almost a baby boomer. And Jackson says, well, you're old enough to be my dad. And it's not. And by the way,
said that. No, you said that.
Well, I did say that. It's not even close
old
either.
Enough to be your parent.
I am old enough to be your parent, and it's not even. It's not like I would have to have had you at 20. No. I would have been in my mid-20s.
Yeah.
Well, I wouldn't have had you.
You would have fathered me at the same age I am now.
To which, Ken, can I just say this to you, sir?
Yes, sir.
Young Jackson, were he my son?
Yes.
He would be a horrible disappointment.
Why is that? Is that because he's a Vols fan?
Yeah, that's fun. Yeah,
because I only recently discovered the art of gravitas.
Oh, jeez. Ken, you're doing a great job. We miss you, though.
I miss you, boys. I wanted to be out there by them boats.
Oh, man, they're great. See, this would have been danger, Ken. Danger for the Weaver family. Because some of these boats look like they have your name on it.
Really?
I mean, I'm telling you.
Like
fine-looking boats. Like, I think I saw one. You know how people name boats? You got to name your boat.
Right.
You can't have an unnamed boat. And I think I saw a boat right on the back of it. It says, just the news, boys.
I just do the news, boys, and catch a whole bunch of fish.
Oh, now we're talking. But this it was Sally. Sally says, Sally has a suggestion, Ken.
Okay.
And I'm just the messenger. I'm passing it along.
Okay.
Sally says, Ken Weaver can shorten his story about Mayor Freddie O'Connell to this. Quote, Mayor Freddie O'Connell told WTN's Matt Murphy a buttload of lies. Sally, come on. Oh, boy. Well, everybody's got an opinion on good old Mayor Freddie O'Connell. I'll say this and I'll say this. He comes on the show. I ask the questions. He answers the questions. And it's up to you to decide whether you believe him or not. I do not believe that the mayor is going to push the Nashville Fairgrounds Speedway in any tangible way that is a positive outcome for the Speedway. I do not believe that the mayor is going to push in any substantial way to see the removal of Teresa Broyles Applin because, why would he do that? If we can, quote unquote, learn from these events and move forward. I do think that the mayor is planning on creating some sort of historic district in downtown Nashville that would give tax abatement or property tax relief to some buildings and to some areas and not to others. That's what I heard out of that answer. Now, if I heard incorrectly, y'all help me out. But that's
that's pretty much what he said.
Yeah.
I mean, because not every building is going to be in a historic district.
Right. And so if you are offering some sort of property tax relief to those quote-unquote historic districts, well, then if you are picking winners, there's got to be losers. And I don't know how in the hell that worked. I mean, what it sounds to me like is you're welcoming the lawsuits that are going to ensue after the implementation of this plan. Ken Weaver's boat name should be River Weaver.
River Weaver.
That's not bad, actually. There's a lot of folks that are offering your boat name, Ken, just for you.
Eager Weaver.
Eager Weaver. Oh, I got a boat that would look great on that. Ken, I'll just go ahead and fill out the paperwork for you, and you come pick it up. How about that? In the meantime, 615-737-9986. Our telephone number is 737-9986. We'd love to hear from you. Lisa is on the road, been holding for a minute or two. And let's go ahead and get back to the phone lines at 512 with Lisa. Lisa, you're on the Matt Murphy Show. Thank you for calling.
Hey, Matt, I love your show. I want to say that I give Freddie kudos for coming on your show. I applaud him for that. But I lived in New York State during 9/11. And the company I worked for, one of the things that they first did was develop a disaster recovery plan. And as part of that, weather was a factor. And yes, it may have been a 30-year ice storm here in Nashville, but you know what? A lot of cities all around the country have had ice storms. And all they had to do is say, hey, Buffalo, what do you do when you have an ice storm? Or, hey, Minneapolis, well, maybe not Minneapolis, Philadelphia, what do you do when you have an ice storm? And learn from that. They didn't have to reinvent the wheel, but the fact that they had no telephone poles, they had no staffing, and we knew this storm was coming, that is ridiculous.
Could not agree more. There is no level of excuse-making that's going to move me off of this issue. I mean, it's one thing to say, hey, we're not going to cut as many trees down. We're going to trim our budget for our canopy cutting or our vegetation mitigation. That's the one thing. I might disagree with that, but I understand it as a premise. What I don't understand, Lisa, is the idea of doing that and then not understanding how dramatically that is going to impact you when the ice storm comes. Instead, it feels like there was a lot of cross our fingers and hope going on.
Absolutely. You know, the canopy is one thing. Okay, they made a business decision not to do the tree trimming. Okay, but they still should have had a plan for if there's a tornado, if there is an ice storm. Look at Eastern Tennessee with that hurricane that came through.
Yep.
You can learn from other cities. You don't have to reinvent the wheel, but you have to be prepared. Your job is to be prepared. So,
amen. And if you and thank you, Lisa, for the call. I appreciate you so much. Take care. 615-737-9986. Our telephone number. Bottom line is simple. If you make $654,000 in annual compensation, you don't get two chances to screw something up. You should only get the one. And if you screw it up, you don't get another chance. And I don't understand what we don't understand about that. The mayor is taking a more cautious approach. I mean, I don't know. I don't know what more we need to know about what happened. The mayor doesn't seem to think that it is that egregious of a situation in as much as he says, well, these things only happen once every however many years. That's just not good enough for me. Pam is next up on the Matt Murphy Show on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Pam, thank you for your call. How are you?
I am well, and from one Gen Xer to another, it's always nice to hear some other people. I'm on the front end, though, so it's all right. And I'm going to do something that Jackson is scared to do.
Okay.
And that's actually answer your question, which is, are you proud of your mayor? Well, says he, I'm not sure if it's a Gen Z problem or an avoidance problem, but I'll answer it. No. No, no, no. A good mayor would go and say, you know what, I cannot raise property taxes almost 50% and expect good things to all come out. A good mayor wouldn't say, you know what, we're going to pick and choose who gets the, we're going to make up the rules, by the way, who gets the historical district, because if it's the most expensive property and we want that for, and did you hear him? We're always looking for what? New businesses, right? We're always inviting. So pick and choosing. So we'll choose the ones that, well, not really in the, the greatest of districts. So we'll give them that. But like the Acme Seed and Feed, oh yeah, they won't ever get a historical. That will be leveled in a whole new business. And and a smart mayor would go, you know what? If we're going to do a commission, which is stupid, by the way, a good mayor would say, no, we are advocating that CEO has to go. And you wouldn't have a commission that has people on there with a conflict of interest. And yes, I will say give kudos for him coming on each and every time. But I think Sally has the right move there, about Ken Weaver, a suggestion. And Brett O'Connell came on Matt Murphy show, and he told a whopper full of lies. So, but no, I like I said, I will take up the mound, because us Gen Xers, we had to, we were at home by ourselves, and when our dad would say, my dad would say, girls, behave and don't burn down the house. That's it. Never knew when he's come back home because he had things to do. So I'm not afraid to answer the question. So, Jackson, I love you, and I think that you're great. But answer the question. Don't be shy. So,
I will.
Thank you, Matt.
I thank you very much, Pam, for the telephone call. I appreciate you making it. 615-737-9986. Jackson would speak for himself, but he got so afraid of Pam's call that he had to run off to the bathroom. It's a true story. He said, "I've got to go tinkle because Pam is scaring me," and I don't blame him. I don't blame him. Let me get one more in here before we have to take a break. Ed is next up in Dixon. Ed, thank you for calling. How are you, sir?
I'm doing good. How about yourself?
I'm doing well. Thank you.
All right. The reason why I called, I'm a transplant from New Jersey. I've been here for a year and a half, and I happen to listen to Freddie O'Connell defend NES. First of all, he's lying out of his butt. Back home, if they knew there was a storm coming, they had make sure they had transformers, telephone poles, everything that they needed. They had people staging from other states to make sure, whether they used them or not, they were there. So I don't get how he can defend it. Now, the same thing, like we got a lot worse storms than you guys do. They had dump trucks coming up and down the interstate with rock salt and sand just in case, and they had everything strategically located. They had plow trucks sitting on the side of the road for 2 days. They were more prepared. So this individual, he's just, and I'm being perfectly honest, he's a liar. And I'm coming from a state that had plenty of storms. Mm-hmm. And we had Hurricane Sandy. Half the state was on. Most of the people, they lost power for a week, and they were back up. So I just listened to it. I love your show. I'm glad I found it. You guys are doing a great job. And welcome to Mount Pleasant.
Well, thank you, Ed, and I appreciate that. And we're pleased to have you. You sound like a good American, and we're happy to have you down in the South. Ed, thank you for the telephone call. 615-737-9986. I'll tell you what we'll do. I will go over some of the issues that many of you are discussing that you've learned about over the last several days and weeks, and it's due to a number of great reporters in our community, to include WSMV Channel 4. They're doing a great job. The Tennessee Star is doing a great job. Michael Patrick Leahy and his organization doing a good job over there as well. They're digging through internal documentation through Nashville Electric, and they're learning information that Freddie seems to be learning in real time as he is doing the interview with us. As I was concluding the interview and we were having a conversation right off air, and I'm like, they only had 160. He goes, well, is that a firm number? I was like, well, it's a number based on their internal documentation. Well, we'll look into those numbers. Will you? Well, I certainly hope so. I'll go over some of them with you in just a moment. Take more of your telephone calls, 615-737-9986. In the meantime, we also have Kristi Noem being removed as the Secretary of the Homeland Security Department. We will continue to discuss that. And sadly, many of our lawmakers not voting in the proper way, in my opinion, with regard to accountability and visibility of individuals that have done bad things in the halls of Congress. We'll discuss that. 615-737-9986. It's The Murphy Show, live from the Boat Show on Super Talk 99.7. Hey, gang, it's Matt Murphy, and we're talking about the Glock store and the incredible realistic training that you can only get at the Shoot 270 indoor ranges. That's one-on-one instruction, private shooting rooms, low light, no light, monthly home defense drills. Friends, when you experience the Shoot 270 indoor ranges, you will never go back to a lane again because they're simply superior. Well, we're now taking training to a whole new level with the new Force-on-Force simulation exercise, which starts March 21st. In Force on Force, you are thrust into a simulated situation where deadly force might be necessary to save your life or the life of someone else. You're armed with a Glock 17T used to train SWAT and U.S. Special Forces. You test your reflexes, your marksmanship, making split-second decisions in a realistic life-or-death live-action simulation. To find out more, go to shoot270.com, click on Training, then Classes. Shoot270.com, Training, then Classes. Slots are going fast. I'm going to try my luck at this Tuesday the 10th. Wish me luck. I'll report back to you immediately on the 11th. And then Force-on-Force training at Shoot 270. Sign up because these slots are going to go fast. It's the Glock Store, shoot270.com and glockstore.com.
Kristi Noem fired. President Trump wants to move her somewhere else and insert Oklahoma Senator Markwayne Mullin into the DHS secretary role. Got a full report on Operation Epic Fury, and Mayor Freddie O'Connell talks about how the city is working to help businesses under the property tax burden. This story and more at 5:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Thank you, Scott. What was his name? Do you remember his name? Donnie? Don? D-O-N and Scott. Don and Scott just came by and said hello. They're buying that boat. That's cool, man. It's a verbal contract, Don. You gotta, that's got. Look, it almost matches your shirt. I told Don he needed to buy that boat. You hear what he said to me? You hear what he said to me in Jackson? He said, "I don't have that Matt Murphy money." I was like, Matt Murphy's got no money anymore. Matt Murphy's money is all in Mount Pleasant, Tennessee at this point.
Well, the exchange rate ain't great from American dollars to Venezuela. What are they, pesos?
I don't know. First off, I don't think they're pesos in Venezuela. I don't know what it would be in Venezuela. And secondarily, I don't live in Venezuela. I live in Tennessee.
Oh, you moved again?
Sure. 615-737-9986. By the way, while you were away going to the bathroom, Pam called in. I think it was Pam, and said that she's not afraid to answer the question, and she's ashamed of her mayor. So there, she wanted me to tell you that.
We'll pass that along in summer study.
Summer study. Speaking of summer study.
Oh, is your bill headed for summer study?
Well, maybe.
Was Sapicki right?
No, for those asking about our Trash Panda Act, which is a bill that would loosen the restrictions against those of you who desire to own a pet raccoon. It would loosen some restrictions. There would still be restrictions. You would have to get it as a baby. You would have to get it vaccinated. We're working through some potential voluntary registration for free vaccination language within the bill. But it would basically free up individuals to own these animals as pets. Now, raccoons are not domesticated. And I learned a lot, mostly about government bureaucracy today, Jackson, because we went to the Hill and we had some meetings. And I won't say too much, but to say this, that bureaucracy moves very, very slowly and is loath to change anything regarding their field of vision. And so we talked to the state veterinarian. She was there.
We have a state vet?
Yeah, we do. We talked to a scientist from the University of Tennessee that is, I'm not exactly sure what his title is.
That's smart people over there.
Yeah, he seems like a smart guy. He had a lot to say about wild animals, specifically wild raccoons. We talked to a representative from the TWRA, the Tennessee Wildlife Resources Agency.
What'd they think of the bill?
They had concerns about
your sanity, me as well.
No. I mean, their concerns was largely surrounding licensing and whether or not individuals would be properly educated as to the dangers of owning a raccoon. And they felt like that through licensing that we could overcome some of those educational gaps.
So my thing is, if you're going to buy a raccoon, or if you're going to catch a raccoon, you should know it's a raccoon.
So here's the interesting thing. You can legally purchase a raccoon in the state of Tennessee, but you have to purchase it through a licensed raccoon dealer that uses practices by which they generationally breed these raccoons in an effort to, it's not to domesticate them because we've not gotten to that point yet, but create a tamer, more docile version of what you would find out in the wild. And these breeders have to be licensed with the TWRA. They have to be licensed with the USDA, I think that's right. And there's one in Columbia. So I'm going to reach out to those folks and see if we can't get them on the air to find out what they have to do. But you know what they're charging for raccoons? Well, you know what the typical price for a raccoon is in the state of Tennessee if you go through a licensed breeder?
120.
$120?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Multiply that by about 10.
$1,200?
About $1,000 for a raccoon.
Oh.
That's a lot of money for a raccoon. Indeed. It's 31 after the hour. Super Talk 99.7 WTN. We'll talk to our friend Joni Bryan in a moment with the 917 Society about an event that's coming up this weekend that you need to know about. Plus, nincompoops in the news. Jackson Williams is once again claiming that he won yesterday. We'll find out if that's true next on Super Talk.
I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Got the full forecast and traffic in 5 minutes. President Trump has fired Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem and nominated Senator Markwayne Mullin to take her spot. Mullin's nomination will go through the Senate Homeland Security and Governmental Affairs Committee, which is chaired by Senator Rand Paul. ABC's Olivia Rubin says Mullin would take over the immigration raids that have been a priority of the Trump administration.
It's been notable. ABC had a recent poll that the president is underwater on this issue, and that's surprising. In a recent poll, he was down by 18 percentage points on this, which is significant. And specifically, Americans said that they were not happy with the tactics of ICE. And that falls at Kristi Noem's feet. So you have to wonder if that's going to be something that Mullin tries to tackle.
Noem got the news right before she spoke to an event here in Nashville, but she didn't mention her removal, according to the Tennessean. Operation Epic Fury, the U.S. House rejecting a resolution to stop President Trump's attack on Iran. The vote was narrow, 212 to 219, with a small number of Democrats joining Republicans to defeat the resolution. Meanwhile, President Trump touching on the war during an event at the White House to honor the 2025 Major League Soccer champions.
So they have no Air Force, they have no air defense. All of their airplanes are gone. Their communications are gone. Missiles are gone. Launches are gone, about 60% and 64% respectively. Other than that, they're doing quite well.
Trump called on all members of the Iranian Revolutionary Guard, the military, and the police to lay down their arms or, quote, they're going to be killed. Here in Nashville, Mayor Freddie O'Connell telling WTN's Matt Murphy Show his office is working with Metro Legal and Finance on possible relief for businesses struggling under the property tax increase that would include assessments taking into account historical districts.
And on one side of an alley fronting Broadway, you may be in a historic property. On the other side of the alley, you may be in an area where there's a lot more height allowed for the building that you own. But the assessment process isn't necessarily going to take into account that you're in a historic district.
More than 100 local business owners have formed the Nashville Property Tax Coalition to push for immediate relief. That's the latest news. Traffic and weather next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News. Whole bunch of brake tapping going on northbound 65 to the South Loop. Same goes eastbound South Loop, and then east and westbound 40 between downtown and the eastern split. Eastbound 440 over to 24, eastbound 24 from 440. You got a crash involving two vehicles in Franklin. 65 southbound at I-840. In Berryhill, there's a wreck. 65 northbound before Armory Drive. Rural Hill, a crash 65 northbound. Actually, I'll just mention that. Rural Hill is actually the crash there at 24 eastbound at Bell Road. And in Antioch, a stalled vehicle on the right shoulder, 24 westbound before Haywood Lane. I'm Ken Weaver.
Hey, friends, it's Matt Murphy for the Wellness Institute of Nashville. You know, their website says it all, painisbad.com, right? Pain is bad. And at the Wellness Institute of Nashville, Dr. Mitchell, Dr. Ashley, and the rest of the team, they understand how debilitating it truly can be. And if you find yourself in pain, why are you waiting another day without calling the Wellness Institute of Nashville? They have so many different processes that they can help you alleviate some of that pain without having to pop pills, without having to shoot up needles, and without having to consider surgery. And that's what it's all about, right? Back pain, neck pain, knee pain, hip pain, sciatica, wherever it hurts, they can alleviate the pain and make you feel better. And now they've got the brand new HydroWave, which is incredible. They're the first and only office in the state of Tennessee to have this brand new device. Dr. Mitchell and Dr. Ashley, they're my doctors. They should be yours as well. And this HydroWave, it works, folks. It helps stimulate stem cells in your own body, regenerating tissue, helping you heal faster and alleviate the pain, eliminate the pain. Painisbad.com is the website, or give them a call at 615-246-5009. 615-246-5009 for our friends at the Wellness Institute of Nashville. I'd like to thank all of the fine folks that are coming out saying hello at the Nashville Fairgrounds Boat Show, which is going on today, tomorrow, I assume on to the weekend. Nobody tells me these things, but I would assume that it would be here all day on Saturday. If it's here on Thursday, I would think it would be here on a Saturday as well. So you can come out and see us. We're here till 7 o'clock tonight, or come see the vast array of boats at the Nashville Fairgrounds Boat Show. I mean, did we establish in excess of 300 boats? Clear. I mean, obviously. There's. I mean, we had one guy.
I have some inside information.
Oh, do you now?
Over 200 boats.
So not quite 300 boats.
Not quite 300.
But it's still a lot of boats.
Boats.
So we just had some listeners, Ken and his lovely bride, whose name I did not catch, stopped by and said that they were on a boat that was $350,000. Now, that's a heck of a boat. And I want to go see that boat.
Me too.
You know, and they said that they were inquiring about purchasing it, but that it's already been bought by the family Williams. So I don't know if you're aware of this or not, but you know, you might be on the outs. You know, family's got a boat to take care of now. I don't know what I'm talking about. Hey, Joni Bryan is with us. Joni's on the line. She is with the 917 Society. Go to 917.org. And we've talked to Joni about the big event that's coming up this weekend, and we just wanted to remind people one last time about the opportunity that they have to join us this weekend if they so desire. Joni, what's going on? How are you?
Oh, I'm doing great. How are you doing, Matt?
Wonderful. We're out and about at Nashville Fairgrounds at the boat show. You should come buy a boat, Joni.
Oh, well, I wish I could. It sounds like fun.
It's a good time. We're going to have a good time this weekend. I'm so excited about the cabaret and the experience of enjoying fellowship with like-minded, conservative Christian folk. Tell everybody about the event that's coming up this weekend.
Oh, absolutely. Well, we are so excited. This is our yearly fundraiser to fund our program. We provide constitutions to 8th graders across the U.S. and free resources. And so this helps fund our program. We've got a wonderful event, a wonderful dinner planned. We've got some great entertainment. We've got Congressman Tim Burchett will be our keynote speaker. I know everybody's really enjoying him lately. He's been a lot of fun. And we're going to have an auction. He's actually auctioning off one of his skateboards. If you watch him on X and see him skateboarding, he'll be auctioning off a skateboard. And we have all kinds of fun things and some wonderful music, the Austin Brothers Band. Dr. Ken Berry is going to be our MC. And, of course, you're going to be there with us, Matt. So everybody
I'll be enjoying some time. I'll be enjoying some fellowship. Absolutely. It's going to be a tremendous amount of fun.
Yes, and everybody can meet all of our 917 Society members and can join us because we're a We the People organization, and they can get on board with us and help us make sure our young people honor and celebrate Constitution Day on September 17th each year.
Well, and getting to know you, Joni, over these past several weeks and months, I'm just so excited to be able to tell people who maybe haven't heard about the organization what your mission is, and it's quite simple, and I love its focus of purpose, and it is simply that every child that goes through our education system, public or private, should understand America's great documents to include and obviously focus in on the Constitution of the United States. And that was just kind of, and I know you've told the story in the past, but that's kind of the inspiration behind the movement itself to get a Constitution into the hands of our youngsters.
Absolutely, because it wasn't until someone handed me, and I was an adult, they handed me a Constitution, and they said, when's the last time you read your Constitution? And I never thought of it as mine, and I'd never held it, and it wasn't something that felt real until I had it in my hands. And then it was, wow, this is real. This is mine. And so that really sparked my journey into making sure that other people have the opportunity to read it. And so we've got a big promotion after our event. We're going to be doing, the Constitution, read it, know it, carry it. So We're going to be offering people the opportunity to carry it for themselves. They can order them from us. It's going to be really cool.
Well, I encourage people to get to the website and to find out more about this event this Saturday at the Cabaret. It's their big fundraiser for the 917 Society. Go to 917.org to find out more. And then there's Washington's Walk, which I'm very excited about as well. Just walk, no pun intended, walk people through the concept of Washington's Walk and what we'll be doing later on this year, Joan.
Okay, absolutely. Well, Washington's Walk, George Washington was inaugurated on April 30th of 1789 in New York City at Federal Hall. And so for the 250th anniversary of America this year, we are going to recreate that walk. And it's really significant because a lot of people don't know this story, but it's called the Miracle of St. Paul's Chapel. And so in September 11th of 2001, when the Twin Towers fell, everything was destroyed. And there was St. Paul's Chapel was in the shadow of the Twin Towers, and not a window was broken. And they used that chapel for rescue efforts and to house the rescue staff. And so the amazing thing about that is that they call it the Miracle of St. Paul's Chapel. And many believe, and I believe, it's because George Washington dedicated our country to God. After his inauguration, he had walked down there, and he and his staff dedicated the country to God. And so when the towers fell, that chapel didn't have a scratch on it. And so we're going to recreate the walk. We're going to do the inauguration with our own George Washington. Roger McElman's going with us. And we're going to walk down at noon, and we're going to recreate the service that George Washington had, and we're going to rededicate this country to God. And of course, you're going with us, and we need everybody to come to New York and go with us and walk down the road, and let's recreate this moment, and let's rededicate this country to God.
It will also be just a wonderful special opportunity for those who want to see some of those incredible places in New York. Obviously, the chapel itself is reason to go alone. The walk itself is reason to go alone. But if you haven't been, if you want that structured environment so you can see the Statue of Liberty and you can see the 9/11 Memorial, this is an opportunity to do those things as well.
Absolutely. We'll go on tour. We'll leave on that Tuesday, the 28th, and we'll come back on Friday the 1st. We'll tour the Statue of Liberty. We'll tour the 9/11 site. We'll tour the pub that George Washington visited. We'll be at Federal Hall. All these wonderful historical moments in our history. It's so important for this 250th anniversary. I cannot think of a better time to go than now.
Well, Joni, I encourage people to get over to 917society.org. That's the website. You'll see the pop-up there, and it will say Cabaret, and then it will say Washington's Walk, and you can pick either one that you want to find out more about or both. And then hopefully we'll see every person listening to this on Saturday, and we can talk more about Washington's Walk and get people involved in that. I'm so very excited about this Saturday and seeing you. Anything else we need to know, Joni?
Well, just come and help support this mission because we need everyone's support. We don't get state or federal funding, and we're strictly we the people, so we need everyone to get involved and be a part of it. Get your Constitution, read it, know it, and carry it.
Yes, ma'am. There you go. There's Joni Bryan with the 917 Society. Go to 917.org to find out more, and we appreciate Joni for spending a little time with us this afternoon on the Matt Murphy Show. All right, it's 47 minutes after 5 o'clock. Mason, without further ado, let's just go ahead and hit that thing, and let's call it Nincompoops in the News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Hit it!
Nincompoops.
And you see how he did that? When I said hit it, he hit it, Jackson. Isn't that fascinating? I thought you said that that couldn't happen, but apparently it can.
I never said that.
Okay, you never said that. You've never said that anything can or cannot happen. Hey, friends, it's time to find out those nincompoops, where they live and where they breathe. You know how we do it. We scour the state of Tennessee, all across these United States of America and the globe, and we find the nincompoops. We present them to you on a daily basis. Ken Weaver's back in News Closet B. Hello, Ken Weaver.
How about you, boys?
How about you? We're doing all right. Hope you're doing okay. You still got that trophy back there safe and sound?
Yes, I do. Stand by.
Ken Weaver's going to show off that trophy while I introduce you to one of the other players in this little soiree. That would be young Jackson Williams, a.k.a. J. Willie. Hello, Jackson.
Hello.
Who won yesterday?
Me.
How do you know?
I always win.
Right, just get that, you just put that right up there.
There
you
we go.
Yeah, that's nice. I've got your back. Don't you worry about it. So you won yesterday?
I do believe I won yesterday, and that is not me being facetious.
I think I won yesterday.
Oh, boy, oh, boy.
I was counting some of the votes, and I definitely had more.
Ken, do you even know where they vote?
I think I won yesterday.
The ballot
How about
box.
This? The three of us can play that, the ballot box. We'll figure all of that out. I think, Ken, that it was Jackson, but I'm going to go ahead and recheck that. I'm going to recount that vote. But I'll tell you what, Jackson, in an effort to develop more trust in this producer-host relationship, I'm going to let you pick the batting order today.
All right.
Jackson, are you okay? Are you going to be all right? I don't think Jackson's okay, Ken.
I'm fine. My story is taking forever to load, and I'm starting to get concerned. So I'm going to audible the batting order.
Uh-huh.
It will be Murphy, Weaver, Williams.
He's calling an audible.
I desperately hope that one of us has his story. The only reason he's doing that, kid, is he can't get his story. He can't get his story up on his phone. So I'm going to start going quickly before he changes his mind.
All right.
A New Jersey Girl Scout troop has taken cookie sales to new heights. setting up shop right outside of a popular cannabis dispensary. A South Jersey-based troop recently teamed up with Daylight Dispensary in Mount Laurel, New Jersey to
sir.
sell their beloved cookies at the cannabis shop this cookie season. According to Daylight Dispensary owner Steve Cassidy, you use cannabis, you get the munchies. There's a connection between snacks and cannabis, and the fact that we don't have to pretend that doesn't exist anymore is really awesome. I do not have further details on this story because NewJersey.com forces you to pay a premium membership in order to access the rest of the story. But just suffice it to say that someone in this story, they're nincompoops. I'm not really sure who. I think probably the people going into the dispensary that gets that gets hooked by the Girl Scouts. I don't think the Girl Scouts are nincompoops because the Girl Scouts, they're actually pretty smart. I don't think the cannabis shop's nincompoops, but anybody that gets hooked by these nasty Girl Scout cookies, they're nincompoops.
You don't like Girl Scout cookies?
Girl Scout cookies are not.
You ever frozen a tag-along?
No. I've frozen Thin Mints before.
Oh, freeze a tag-along. You'll change your tune.
I'm not a tag-along guy. I'm more of a Samoa. I will admit that when I have one of those, you know what I want?
A glass of milk?
Samoa. See, let's do it again.
Way to go, Brother Murphy.
Thank you, Ken. I was proud of that one. Hey, Jackson, when I have one of the, you know those Samoas?
Yes.
When I have one of those, you know what I want?
Samoa.
Hey! I want a glass of milk, too. I don't like milk, actually.
Yeah,
Milk's for baby cows.
You don't drink milk.
I don't drink milk. It's nasty. I'll take calcium pills. Thank you very much. And so that's my nincompoop in the news. Ken, your story, sir?
Beach bum. A shocking moment. Naked tourist on drug-fueled crime spree is tasered by police on Holiday Beach. This happened in Thailand. There's a lot of good nincompoop stories out of Thailand.
That's what I hear, yes.
This is the moment a naked tourist was tasered and arrested on a notorious holiday island after terrorizing other travelers in a nude beach rampage. The German man sparked panic on Thailand's Death Island after stealing a woman's phone, a motorbike, and a kayak, all without clothes on. Koh Tao police allege the man began behaving erratically on Wednesday morning, starting his drug-fueled spree by approaching a woman outside a 7-Eleven. Body-worn camera footage shows the officers catching up with him from around 6 p.m. on Shalak Beach on the southern part of the island. Cops can be seen on speedboats trying to stop the naked suspect, and he makes a break for the shoreline. Officers forced to fire a taser at him when he refused to listen. One of the cops on the scene said the full details were still being investigated. Looks like they shot him in the bum.
Oh, no.
Yeah, got him right in the butt. Right in the buttocks. That's how a cop would say.
In the buttocks.
The suspect was rendered... the suspect was taken into custody after we shot him in the buttocks. Several victims may need to come forward and file complaints as he was involved in multiple incidents, one of the officers said. It started when he approached that woman outside the 7-Eleven and he asked her for her WhatsApp. When she refused, he pretended to ask to check a map, then suddenly grabbed her phone and sped off on the motorbike.
So the most fascinating part of this story, Ken.
Wait, was he riding a motorcycle naked?
Yes.
Have you not been listening to this story? He's doing all this naked.
He's
all of it.
Completely naked.
Every bit of what Ken just described, oh boy, was, twig and berries, hanging low.
What if you got into an accident?
Well,
that road rash is going to be something severe.
That's going to sting a little.
They shot him right in the butt with that
Right
taser.
in the buttocks. Right in the old, yeah. Mm-hmm. So the most fascinating part of this story to me, Ken, is that there are 7-Elevens in Thailand.
That's what that struck me too. So if you can get a Slurpee there, or one of those ices.
You know why they call it 7-Eleven?
Open at 7 p.m. and 11 a.m.?
Well, flip that, 7 a.m. to 11 p.m. But anyway, you're nincompoop. You better go quick.
All right, California college hired a coach, but police say he moonlighted as a pimp. The men's basketball program at California State University Bakersfield won't turn many heads with its last place ranking in the Big West Conference. But when it comes to scandal, the school could be a top contender. Cal State Bakersfield's athletic department has been in upheaval since August 29th, when then men's basketball coach Rod Barnes opened an anonymous email from a tipster who alleged that Barnes' temporary assistant coach, Kevin Mays, was also working as a pimp across 4 states. Other lawsuits, internal investigations, dismissals, and finger-pointing have only served to deepen the department's sense of crisis. In the email, the tipster identified a woman who Mays had allegedly had trafficked for several months. "Fix it or the whole staff will fall," the tipster wrote, in all caps, adding that the email was a first warning and a final warning. Barnes forwarded the anonymous email to the university's Human Resources Office, which sent it to university police, triggering an investigation that led to criminal charges against Mays. Mays, who is being held without bail, faces a hefty rap sheet of 11 criminal and misdemeanor charges, including felonies such as pimping. He was also charged with possession of an automatic firearms and high-capacity magazines, and possession of methamphetamine and marijuana with intent to sell.
What up, Coach Pimpin'?
Separate charges cited him for possession of more than 600 images of and destruction of obscene matter involving someone under the ages of 18 years old.
Coach Pimpin'.
Mays has pleaded not guilty on all charges. His attorney,
sure.
David Torres, declined to comment to ESPN.
He's in trouble.
He's going to jail.
Yeah, probably going to jail for a little bit of time.
He's not just going to jail. He's going to prison.
He's going to be on the other side of the law, if you know what I mean. The other side of the thing. Hey,
somebody might be pimping him.
Well, that's where I was going, Ken. That's what I was thinking. Hey, that's how we play Nincompoops in the news. Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Vote early, vote often, vote Jackson, vote Ken, or vote correctly with Matt Murphy. We'll be back in a moment on Super Talk. Hello, friends. Genesis Diamonds has quickly become one of the largest dealers of luxury pre-owned Rolexes in the United States of America, and they are having a huge Rolex event this Friday and Saturday. Tomorrow and Saturday, if you've already wanted wanted a Rolex, and you're looking to add to your collection, you cannot miss this epic 2-day event featuring stunning selections of hard-to-find watches, Daytonas, Pepsis, Batmans, and so many more. Genesis has the most popular models in pristine condition, some still in the box, never before worn. And during this event, if you've always felt like that Rolexes are just a little out of reach, know this: they have special financing of up to 5 years for this event. See store for details while supplies last and on approved credit. Green Hills and Cool Springs, only at Genesis Diamonds. This Friday, this Saturday, it's the huge Rolex event. Your home for luxury pre-owned Rolexes is the one and only Genesis Diamonds. Tell them Matt Murphy sent you.
I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Got the full forecast and traffic in 5 minutes. President Trump has fired Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem and nominated Senator Markwayne Mullin to take her spot. ABC White House correspondent Selena Wang.
We're learning that this really was a process that was long in the making, but what really tipped the president over the edge was those congressional hearings this week, where she was pressed about that $220 million taxpayer-funded ad campaign that heavily featured her. And we're told that the president was very angry about how that came off. And so that's really what was the straw that broke the camel's back.
ABC's Olivia Rubin says if confirmed, Mullin will take over amid a partial government shutdown.
Well, he was asked about that, what is he going to do differently? And, he certainly just got this appointment, so he didn't give too many details, but he did say he wanted to build on the successes of his predecessor, Kristi Noem, and he said critically to change some of the things that haven't gone so well.
Just so happens Kristi Noem was set to speak in Nashville today when she learned of the removal right before she took the podium, but Tennessean says she didn't talk about the removal. Operation Epic Fury after visiting U.S. Southern Command in Florida. Defense of War Secretary Pete Hegseth traveling across the state to CENTCOM, or U.S. Central Command, the headquarters of the U.S. military command that's running the war in Iran. He met with Admiral Brad Cooper, the top leader for forces in the Middle East, and the two offered updates on the U.S. attacks in the region.
In just days of Operation Epic Fury, you and your team have delivered nothing short of devastating, precise strikes, taking out the better part of Iran's navy, making it combat ineffective, neutralizing missile sites and launchers, and establishing total dominance over the skies we fly over and seas we fly over.
Meanwhile, the State Department closing the U.S. Embassy in Kuwait due to retaliatory Iranian strikes. State Department says they've helped at least 10,000 Americans leave the region so far. President Trump telling Axios today that he has to be involved with what he called the appointment of Iran's next leader. That's the latest news. Traffic and weather next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News. Madison, a crash. 65 northbound at Old Hickory Boulevard. In Franklin, a crash between two vehicles. 65 southbound at I-840. Bordeaux, Briley Parkway northbound before Centennial. In West Nashville, a wreck. Briley Parkway at Robertson. And Bicentennial Mall, a wreck. Jefferson Street at 6th Avenue. And then in Antioch, Murfreesboro Pike just west of Nashboro Boulevard. And in Franklin, a crash. 65 northbound at Cool Springs. I'm Ken Weaver.
Super Talk 99.7 WTN. We enter the final hour of the Thursday edition of the Matt Murphy Show, and I'm so proud you've decided to join us. Thank you so much for your time and consideration. Whatever time you give us, we are certainly thankful. We're live at the boat show at the Nashville Fairgrounds, where there's a lot of boats. There's young Jackson Williams. There's Matt Murphy. Young Will is capably assisting off to the side. And we would, if you want to come out and say hello to us, I think we'll be here until at least 7 o'clock. And apparently the boat show is open until about 8 o'clock tonight. And it's obviously here tomorrow and here on Saturday. And if you are in the market for a boat, this is the place to be this weekend because they have a lot of them. We would also love to hear from you on the phone lines, 615-737-9986, 615-737-9986. I know something went wrong on my StreamYard again, and I'm trying to enter the studio yet again, Mason. This fella that pops up on my computer screen when I ask to enter the studio looks a lot like Mason. He's got a mop of brownish dark hair and a mustache that looks to be twirled toward the ends. But give us a call if you so desire, 615-737-9986. And actually, I've got to tell Mason just hit that block button there, and we can open the phones back up for any and all comers in the final hour of the show. If you've got thoughts on our interview with Mayor Freddie O'Connell, you're invited to offer said thoughts. And if you have any thoughts on any of the other news of the day, then you can obviously opine on that as well. Speaking of that news, if you've not heard, just getting in your automobile, Kristi Noem took to the podium today at the Grand Hyatt Hotel in Nashville, Tennessee, to speak to the Sergeant Benevolent Association. Minutes after the news that she would no longer be the Secretary of Homeland Security broke, did not address it during her remarks, but she did go on to tout the accomplishments of the agency in carrying out the Trump administration agenda. She refrained from referring to the fact that she was being removed from that position in lieu of another position. Now, there's some debate as to whether or not she was fired. Fired is a pretty interesting word in this regard because she was reassigned at very least, and that that new assignment seems to be a step down from the position that she did hold. She was at a cabinet level position, but now she will be working with the President of the United States of America as a special envoy for the Shield of the Americas. Donald Trump said in a Truth Social post, the current Secretary, Kristi Noem, who served well and has been had numerous and spectacular results, will be moving to the special envoy for the Shield of the Americas. I thank Kristi for her service at Homeland. Donald Trump went on to name Mark Wayne Mullen as his nominee to replace Kristi Noem. Mark Wayne Mullen is a senator. He does not serve on the Senate Homeland Security and Governmental Affairs Committee, but obviously he does serve the Senate well and is expected to go up for confirmation at some point in April, as he is not expected to take over that role in any capacity, interim or otherwise, until the end of the month. Kristi Noem will be the Homeland Security Secretary until at least March 31st, but she is being replaced. Some are suggesting, oh, no, he's not firing anyone. He's just moving her. Well, I don't know what you want to call it. She's certainly not moving into a post that I would suggest is equitable to the one that she's currently serving in. So while the President of the United States understands that Kristi Noem continues to have value for his administration, he no longer wants her up front with the Department of Homeland Security, and so he's moving on from that and expecting that Mark Wayne Mullen will take that over in the next 30 days or so. So there's that going on in the news. There's also this. 3 Tennessee locations are in the running to win tunnels constructed by the Boring Company and Elon Musk. 3 cities in Tennessee have been selected as finalists. Now, understand, this has nothing to do with the city of Nashville. This has everything to do with their planned project to continue the construction of these free tunnels up to 1 mile long, aimed at improving transportation or infrastructure between 2 locations. The company's infrastructure competition was announced in January. It invited governments, companies, and individuals to submit proposals for innovative tunnel projects up to 1 mile long and 12 foot in diameter. The winning proposal will be constructed free of charge by the company. The boring company announced that they received 487 entries. They're down to the final 16, and they plan to announce the winner March 23rd. I would be, I don't know if shocked is the right word. I would be surprised if the state of Tennessee won this, considering that we are already enjoying the benefit of the Music City Loop at no cost to the taxpayers, absent the cost resulting in monitoring and oversight of the tunnel project, the safety of the tunnel project, and the safety of the passengers who use the tunnel once it becomes operational. That said, yesterday, Senate Majority Leader Jack Johnson informed us that the price tag was way overvalued in news reporting. There were suggestions that the oversight would cost up to $5 million per year. Jack Johnson said no, that cost projection was more in the line of $700,000 to $750,000 a year, as opposed to the $5 million price tag. So I don't know if there was disconnect there or what, but while it will cost some amount of money to see the project completed safely and on time, and it will also cost a little bit of money to continue to see oversight to the project. But the of the 487 entries, like I say, they're down to 16. Those include entries from Alaska, Arkansas, Colorado, Kansas, Louisiana, Maryland, New York, Panama, Texas, several in Texas, as a matter of fact, and then a couple of locations in good old Tennessee. Hendersonville, Tennessee is one of the last locations on this list, and Gatlinburg, Tennessee. Hendersonville is looking for the Hendersonville. I wasn't aware that they were in the market for a tunnel, but apparently they are. The Hendersonville tunnel, and then Gatlinburg wants what they are calling a mountain mile loop, which would be a loop of a similar fashion, one would presume, to the one that we're seeing in Nashville. Now, once again, these projects don't have anything to do with the Nashville project, except that they are being done by the same company, using the same advanced technology, and they will benefit at no cost to the taxpaying citizens. They will benefit those communities where those projects land. So we got that going on in the news as well. Speaking of the boring we drove by there today. I was down at the Capitol. Several of you are asking how that went, and I'm going to tell you in a moment. But we were up at the Tennessee Capitol today, speaking to a couple of bureaucratic agencies, as well as a couple of lawmakers who are set to carry, our Trash Panda Act. And in leaving the Capitol, Cameron Smith and myself, I Ubered over, and then Cameron was nice enough to give me a ride back to the radio station after the meeting. And we drove by the tunnel, and it looks like it's going along very well. The apparatus that is exterior to, most of the action is happening under the ground, but the apparatus above the ground looks to be, it's there. I took a picture of it for what it's worth. Excuse me. And so I'll post that on social media platforms. To answer the question about how the meeting went, I have rarely in my life have I been faced with, in the same room, the realities of government bureaucracy. I am not knocking these folks who were in the meeting. I appreciate the fact that they are laser focused on their particular area of interest. But the government and the level of inefficiency in government, and frankly the level of nanny state, it exists because the government is its natural state is inertia. While it grows, government's natural state of being is to grow in size and in terms of consumption of money. But it also has a natural inertia involved in government, meaning that once government starts doing something, it doesn't want to stop doing it. And once government starts doing something in a very particular way, it does not want to change the manner in which it does it. And I made the case early on to some of these folks in the room that we are using 50 and in some cases 50-plus-year-old science and research as a metric by which we judge that which we consider to be harmful to the average Tennessean, specifically our state mammal, which is the raccoon. What our bill would do, it would make it legal for a Tennessee resident to own a raccoon that was caught as a baby by the individuals who own it. Right now, it is legal for you or me to go purchase a raccoon in this state. They have these exotic animal purchase sites. Most of the raccoons that are purchased in the state of Tennessee, I am told, were brought from out of state, which begs the question, why aren't our raccoons good enough to purchase in the state of Tennessee? It doesn't make a lot of sense, but apparently they're not. Tennessee raccoons are not good enough, and we have to have out-of-state raccoons coming into the state. We heard from good people at TWRA. We heard from someone with the state veterinary's office. I think it was the actual state veterinarian, like the head veterinarian of the state. And a lot of what I heard had to do with the idea that you and I cannot be trusted to make good decisions for ourselves. I mean, that's the easiest way that I can put it. That, and part of this experiment, I would note that our bill is not necessarily designed to promote raccoon ownership in the state of Tennessee. I frankly don't care if anybody owns a raccoon in the state. What it is designed to do is to point out how even conservatives pick and choose where they believe that government should interfere with your ability to live a life of your own choosing in the state of Tennessee and to take responsibility for that life. That means that if you have a raccoon and that raccoon bites someone, you have to be responsible for all of that. If you have a raccoon and you are scratched or whatnot, you have to be responsible for that too. Others, and certainly no agents of the state, should be considered responsible when it is obviously your freedom to choose whether or not you want to own a pet of that nature. But I did learn a lot about variants of rabies and all of the different concerns, disease-oriented concerns that the state vet office has, amongst other concerns that the Tennessee Wildlife Resource Agency has as well. But we'll keep you updated. It has to go to study next week, and if it it has to go to committee next week. And if it does not get into committee next week, then we are doomed for what, Jackson? If we don't get it, summer study. That's correct. We're doomed for summer study. Speaking of being doomed to summer study, there is a bill that I was excited about that will be retired to summer study coming up in the next couple of days. I'll tell you about that bill coming up in a moment. It's 21 after the hour. This is the Matt Murphy Show on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Friends, Matt Murphy for U.S. Pest. Did you know that if you refer a friend, a neighbor, or a family member to U.S. Pest, you'll receive a $50 credit on your account or a free mosquito, tick, or flea treatment? That's right. That deal's been available since as long as I've been talking about U.S. Pest, and I absolutely love that they do that because they want to expand their reach to as many people as possible all throughout the Middle Tennessee area. They bring you the Matt Murphy Show on a daily basis, and they also bring you incredible pest control, full-service pest control, termite protection, and crawl-space services. Termite protection is preventative and corrective with a 100% money-back guarantee. And I don't know if you knew this or not, but every home in the state of Tennessee is threatened by termites, and you need to protect yourself from that threat. Secondarily, they deal with pest control every day, all day, spiders and stink bugs and ants and ladybugs and mice and silverfish and roaches and the like, also with a 100% money-back guarantee. We are threatened by common Tennessee pests. Do not allow the bugs to come in and take what's yours. That's what they want. They want to come in and eat your food and enjoy the homestead that you've worked so hard to build. You need to prevent this through U.S. Pest. Go to uspest.com. That's uspest.com, or call 590-1260. 590-1260 for our friends at the one and only U.S. Pest.
Kristi Noem out as Department of Homeland Security Secretary, and President Trump telling Iran, lay down your arms or else. Details coming up at 6:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Man, that's tough news up there in Pegram. That's nasty stuff. There's Ken Weaver over in News Closet B. My name is Matt Murphy. We are out and about tonight at the boat show. We'll be here till 7 o'clock. A lot of you stopping by. We just talked to – did you hear what he said? By the way, Jackson's with us. Jay Willie. We'll get phone calls in a moment. Matt and Jeff will get to you. But oh, my goodness. I wouldn't turn it down. Somebody's offering us peppermints, Jackson. Oh, good gracious.
Thank
well,
you,
that's very kind of you. Thank you,
sir.
Was it Robert? That's
Robert.
right, Robert. Mr. Robert over there at Anderson. Anyway, we're at the boat show, Nashville Fairgrounds. Come see us. A lot of you have done so. Did you hear that Mr. Scott over there with his son Sam said that, did you hear how many boats they had between them?
Did he say 6 or 7?
He said 6, 7. He said, yeah, you got to do it that way?
Yeah. That's how the kids are doing
That's
it,
how the children do it.
Get with the times, Murphy.
6, 7. That's what he said. All right, let's talk to Matt, who is next up on the Matt Murphy Show on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Matt, I'm glad you called. Good afternoon. How are you, sir? Stand by. I don't know if Matt's still there or not.
That's a good point, Matt.
Yeah, no, that's a great point that Matt's making.
Matt, I agree.
You know what? I bet I would not fault Mason for believing that there's no way that I would go to a call so close to the news time. But I did. And
listen, I'm slacking off a little bit.
Hey, Mason, you've only been working what? You're only working half days, buddy. 12 hours a day.
Listen, taking a break today.
Yeah, just half. When did you start out?
I got here at 8:20 this morning.
8:20. Man.
Yeah, just a light shift.
That's hard working. Man, do you see what is that called? What is that one of those things called?
A wheelie thing.
Is that what you call it, a wheelie thing?
Yeah, that's what I'm going to call it, a wheelie thing.
No, he's going to know. What is that called? A one wheel?
A one wheel.
All right, so we got a gentleman on a one wheel here at the boat show.
I would break my leg with haste.
He claims it's self-balancing. If you've ever seen one of these one wheel things, it does not look. That looks like a recipe for a hospital visit and an extended hospital stay, right? Kirby looks like he could do it though. Kirby's wiry. In order of the people that are in front of me, I would say this is the order that I would place people that could exist on the one wheel. CJ, Kirby, Matt, Jackson.
Fair. As long as I'm last, it's fair.
Uh-huh.
Although you just had shoulder surgery.
Correct. I don't think anybody can hear you.
That Chinese shoulder may not be able to handle the one wheel.
The Temu shoulder? Sure. Let's see. I'll tell you what, Mason, I'm audibling to the news, and then we'll get more of your telephone calls in here with Matt and Jeff coming up in moments. Plus, I have additional stories to tell you about regarding the Metro Council, and we mentioned this yesterday, a new candidate in the governor's race. It's a name that I think more people that pay attention to the news think that more Tennesseans are going to know. I would be willing to bet you that 20% of Tennessee know this person, and he's never been involved in politics, but he's running for governor. We'll tell you who it is momentarily on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Full forecast and traffic in 5 minutes. President Trump has reassigned Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem and nominated Senator Mark Wayne Mullen to take her spot.
And the president, we know, had grown increasingly frustrated with Secretary Noem this following several days of her testimony up on the Hill. The president posting the current secretary, Kristi Noem, who has served us well and has had numerous and spectacular results, especially on the border, will be moving to be special envoy for the Shield of the Americas, our new security initiative in the Western Hemisphere.
Noem got the news right before she spoke to an event in Nashville, but she didn't mention anything about it. Operation Epic Fury, the U.S. House rejecting a resolution to halt President Trump's actions on Iran. The vote was narrow, 212 to 219, with a small number of Democrats joining Republicans to defeat the resolution. Meanwhile, President Trump at a White House event with the 2025 Major League Soccer champions.
And I'm once again calling on all members of the Iranian Revolutionary Guard, the military, and the police to lay down their arms. They're only going to be killed.
Monday News, Michelle Franzen.
Markets fell sharply as the war in Iran drove up oil prices above $80 a barrel for the first time since July 2024. The Dow down 785 points, the S&P lost 39 points, and the Nasdaq fell 59. Investors say they're concerned a long-term spike in oil prices could drag on household spending power, leading to a global economic slowdown and higher interest rates. Airlines took sharp losses Thursday as fuel prices are up and hundreds of thousands of travelers were stranded across the Middle East. American Airlines, United, and Delta Airlines all saw shares sink more than 5%. Travel industry stakeholders Thursday urged Congress to end the Department of Homeland Security, warning TSA staffing shortages could cause travel disruptions during the spring break travel season. About 24 are challenging President Trump's global tariffs that were imposed after the Supreme Court struck down earlier tariffs.
That's the latest news. Traffic and weather next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
Folks, Matt Murphy here for Nashville Safe House. It's as simple as this. You need to protect those things that you work so hard for, your property, the things that you buy, your boats. I mean, for example, we're at the boat show today. And if you bought a boat, you got a boat, you need to protect the boat. Right? Well, you protect those things by utilizing those items that will protect you and your family and your property. And you protect those things by buying a safe from Nashville Safe House. They have over 200 safes in stock, minigun safes in stock, ready to go for you. They have Fort Knox safes in this area, and they've got them for great prices. They've got many, many other brands. They're the finest and best Browning dealer in the world, and they're right here in Nashville, Tennessee. Now, you walk through the doors, you'll see the beautiful lobby area. They've got the biometrics set up there. They got the Murph safe right there. That is my special safe that you can purchase in the lobby at Nashville Safe House. They've got Donald Trump. They've got a cutout of Donald Trump. They had one of Joe Biden. Joe Biden was like the employee of the year for 3 years running at Nashville Safe House because, man, Joe Biden's policies sold a lot of safes. Now, sadly, in all seriousness, we've discovered that there are more break-ins that are happening. You want to avoid those break-ins by securing your valuables in a quality safe from Nashville Safe House. Over 200 in stock on the showroom, another 400 or so in the warehouse. Just get over there and see them for yourselves. Go to NashvilleSafeHouse.com to find out more. That's NashvilleSafeHouse.com. Or stop by across the street from City Cemetery on 4th Avenue South. It's Nashville Safe House. Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Man, we're having a good time. Jackson's going to take me over and show me the boat that he's going to buy me later, which is very nice of him. We're going to peruse some of the boats at 7 o'clock tonight when we hand off to Mark Levin. But until then, your telephone calls and your thoughts and comments, plus a few other special stories that I've got to throw in before we say goodbye and goodbye to this Thursday edition. Let's go to line 1 and Matt. Hello, Matt. How are you?
Hey, Matt, how you doing? Long time no talk to.
I'm glad you called, Matt. What's on your mind tonight?
I got two quick things. One about that raccoon. The humans can barely take care of themselves. They can't take care of their children. They can't take care of their dogs and cats. And now you want to give them a raccoon?
That's
definitely not. Definitely not.
Matt, that's the best argument against our bill that I've heard.
I'm just a fact. Next thing you know, the raccoons are going to be in the children's services. Anyway, I called you because of the problem that we have in the Middle East, and I want your opinion. That I say that the United States is losing their edge. They're losing their leverage. And I don't know when it started, but I'm afraid that especially with Trump and what he did the first term of 2015, 2016, and the America First, we are losing our leverage at a serious rate. And I don't know if anybody is seeing this, or am I seeing this wrong?
Hey, tell me how you feel like you say America's losing our edge. What do you mean by that?
Okay, so if you notice that when we're like the Paris Accord, the climate, we are the top dog on the table, and we walk away from that. All we had to do was tell them how they're going to do it, and they would have done so. The investigators with the Iran nuclear deal, when we had our investigators there, we could have restructured that to keep us there, to really keep eyes on them, because we are the United States. We give NATO all of the weapons, right? But now we have forced the other countries to build up their military. Well, guess what? With the technology as the way it is, they're going to build up so high now. They don't need us. They're going to have us remove our bases. And now we are going to be in the spot.
Who's going to have us remove our bases? I haven't heard any of that.
No, but
what country?
Well, we have bases all over everywhere in this.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying. I've not heard of any country suggest.
No, I'm not.
As a matter of fact, most Middle Eastern countries, I don't know of any Middle Eastern country that's come out in support of Iran.
No,
I mean, all of them are supporting us.
Well, I understand that, but when you turn around and say, we want you to pay more, okay, well, you have the leverage.
Okay.
They're already admitting that they can't take care of themselves, so they're going to put more into the program, but they're going to eliminate us.
Matt, let me ask you a few questions. Let me just see where you're coming from. Do you believe that it is a good thing that the former supreme leader of Iran is no longer in power?
Yes and no.
Tell me why no.
Because it is an ideology that you can't kill.
So the no is that he'll just be, it's the devil that we know as opposed to the devil that we don't?
It will continue because it has continued.
Well, you know who won't continue killing people?
Who?
Him. Him.
That's right. But
because he dead.
Right, but you can't kill the idea.
So all right, on the Paris Accords, which I think it's a little bit of a different subject, but you know who wasn't at the table at the Paris Accords?
Who?
The the world's largest polluter. You know who that is?
Who is that?
China.
China, probably. Right.
Yeah, China. So the Paris Accords were a sham, and sadly they were designed to hamstrung free market capitalistic systems in favor of communistic systems that had no intention of taking part in any of these agreements or accords to begin with. Number two, one of the things that the attack on the leadership of Iran does is that it puts a crimp on China. I mean, if you think about it, China has been the beneficiary of a lot of cheap petroleum from Iran because they're virtually the only nation that would buy from them based on the sanctions that large swaths of the rest of the world had placed on Iran. Now they don't have that access to cheap oil. What are they going to do? Buy from Russia is what they're going to do. What they're going to do is they're going to try to buy it from Russia. And so it puts the onus on Russia to focus more of their attention on drilling petroleum as opposed to attacking Ukraine. I think this is a shift in dynamic. I don't know where it ends. I have my concerns too, Matt, because I don't like the idea. I loved hearing Caroline Leavitt say that there's no part of the plan that involves sending troops into Iran and putting boots on the ground. I love hearing that. I want to watch and see how that shakes out. I'm glad that the so-called supreme leader is no longer the leader of that country. I believe it is an opportunity for Iran to promote the concept of freedom and liberty. I don't know if those people are ready for it, though. I would agree with you. I mean, there are a lot of unknowns, but what this certainly does is shake up the power dynamic in the Middle East, and it eliminates the biggest disruptor of stability in that region, and that's Iran. And every other country knows it. Jordan knows it. Lebanon knows it. Saudi Arabia knows it. All of them, even Qatar. Qatar harbors terrorists, and they're on our side on this because they know Iran is a disruptor.
Well, I would think that they would take the lead, and since, it's a Muslim country and whatnot, they would take the lead. It just seems like we are investing so much. And when you're talking about a regime change, I don't think American blood should be on a regime change. If you're attacking me, that's one thing. But if you're not, explain that to the 6 families that lost their loved ones, because the regime change is not a guarantee. So if we look 20 years later and they're like, wow, we should have never done that, well, we got 6 dead people so far.
Well, you are right that we have to wait to see how this plays out to write the history of this moment as to whether or not it was a positive change in the Middle East and a smart idea or a negative change in the Middle East and a bad idea. I don't think any of us knows that right now. I'm willing to put faith in the leadership of this country that they're engaging in this in good faith, and they're doing so to promote stability in that region. Here's the bottom line, Matt. Donald Trump likes to have those feathers in his cap, and whatever motivation you ascribe to what he is doing, Donald Trump and the rest of us have lived our lives talking about peace in the Middle East, and it never comes. I think, my opinion, he genuinely wants to see if he can't achieve that, and the only way to achieve that is to eliminate the leadership of Iran and see other leadership in their place. Now, you talk about regime change. You're right. I don't know if the next guy is going to be worse, but what the American policy seems to be is you're going to put someone in the place of leadership in that nation that is no longer a threat to that region. Otherwise, we're just going to kill them too.
Well, let me ask you this. What you do to the goose, you got to do for the gander. What happens if Russia or China want a regime change with us? See, that's just getting to, you can't have it both ways. So I would say I don't want to do that to them because I don't want them to do that to me. And I think there's
China has zero interest in breaking their own piggy bank
for right now.
Well, and I believe this maneuver ensures that we will continue to be the piggy bank for the foreseeable future. No, these are good questions. I don't pretend to have all of the answers. I'm not going to pretend that, but I appreciate the call, Matt.
Talk to you later.
All right, man.
Bye-bye.
Take care. There's Matt. It's Jeff's turn next in Indiana. Jeff, thank you for your call. How are you?
Doing real good, Matt. Fine. Oh, bud.
What? Say it again, Jeff. I missed a little of that.
I say, have you found anything there that floats your boat?
You know, there's a couple of boats around here that had I not just laid out a nice, tidy check for a house, I might consider. But, well, maybe next year.
As a former boat owner, I can attest that this is true. The happiest purchase in your life will be when you buy a boat. And the second happiest day of your life is when you sell that boat.
As I've been
then
told.
On the other hand, though, it's two happy people because whoever's buying the boat is the happiest day of his life. So it all kind of works around each other.
Sure. I like it.
But talking about this Nashville Power CEO, just think about it. This CEO here that's failed miserably is making it makes a third more than the leader of the free world.
Correct. Yes.
I don't know, but I'd like to put my resume in because it takes maybe just a little bit of common sense to know these things. And when you take somebody who don't know anything about the power grid or anything else and puts them, you're a management CEO, and everything, you should know how to manage. Well, if you can't manage something you don't know nothing about, and apparently I think she came from the healthcare field, I believe.
Yeah, and she became an accountant. I mean, she was an accountant at Nashville Electric Service before she worked her way up the food chain and eventually was named its CEO. I don't know what else people like Freddie O'Connell need to see. I don't know who they need to talk to. I'll say this, after our conversation on air today, Freddie asked me off air, he's like, what do you it was, I'm paraphrasing him, but it was basically, what would you do? And I'm like, I would call for her firing is what I would do. I've seen enough. You only get one shot to screw this up. Hey, you don't get two.
Yeah.
If you make $654,000 a year, you should not get two opportunities to screw this up. And it's just that simple to me. And I don't know why the board or Freddie or anyone else feels so beholden to Teresa Broyles-Applin that they would give her the benefit of the doubt when it was not. And we talked a little bit about this report that happened last November. I said, look into this report. Their own reporting told them that the canopies were a threat. And their threat assessment was the biggest risk to their power grid if an ice storm should happen was the canopy. And they didn't do anything. So it doesn't make a lot of sense why she still has a job. Sadly, I think they're more invested in getting, quote-unquote, beyond this and moving forward. Let's look forward. That's in the past. That's the next messaging you'll hear in the next several months. Once some of these reports start coming out, they'll start talking about, let's look forward. We don't need to look in the past. That we've talked about that till we're blue in the face. We need to move on from that. Just watch.
Yeah. And the sad part of it is her salary is just a drop in the bucket to the money that she has just now lost these people. And this is a public commodity, or a public utility. So, you've lost a lot of, and when your rate bills go higher and higher and everything through all the money that they've lost and squandered away with not just her salary, but with all the damage that was done, just kind of think about that and keep that in mind, and might want to pressure the mayor just a little bit.
Well, great call, great thoughts, and you know what? We'll do everything we can. Sadly, the bureaucracy, and I appreciate your call, Jeff, the bureaucracy has insulated this woman to the point where the mayor gets to say, he throws his hands up and says, I can't fire if I wanted to. And the city council says, we can't fire if we wanted to. And the NES board, they're not accountable to the people, so they don't have to answer to the people, so they just remain in hiding. And, oh, by the way, they're the ones that hired the lady, so aren't you admitting a mistake if you decide to fire her? And they're going to be loath to do that as well. 51 after the hour on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Back in a moment to wrap this up. Now, some of us don't have to worry about weight. I'm looking at you, Kirby, but some of us do. Some of us, I mean, I'm looking at no, I play golf with this guy, and he's this thin and hit the ball a mile, and he doesn't have to worry about it. He eats whatever he wants to, and I know he does. Well, I can't do that. If I look at some of the stuff that Kirby eats, I gain 5 pounds, which is why I've got Contours in my life. Our friends at Contours LLC, they understand that once you get to a certain age, man, it is tough to get the weight off, and you need a little help in that regard. And they've got brand new technology that's pretty exciting. I've done it, and it takes off the inches. It's red light technology that's the perfect solution to get rid of the stubborn fat that keeps you from looking your best. Think about this. You go into Contours. You schedule that appointment. I'll give you the number in just a moment. It's both for guys and gals. You schedule that appointment, and you will lose over 2 inches on your midsection. First treatment, or that first treatment is free. Now, that's a guarantee right there. 2 inches, or it's no cost to you. And it's only $99 besides. That's the Belly Buster special to introduce you to the technology that is red light therapy and the ultra slim body contouring. Non-invasive, doesn't hurt a bit. The results are instantaneous. I've gone through it. Oh, by the way, my first treatment, 2.67 inches around my midsection. That's real results. ContoursLLC.com. That's ContoursLLC.com. Or call 615-236-9960. 236-9960.
Hey, this is Pastor Al, and join us on Super Talk 99.7, Sunday evenings from 7 to 8. We're going to look at the news from a biblical perspective.
When I first stepped into the offices of Shane Ring and Cover Nash, I was so impressed. Shane sat me down and talked to me about the way that he does business that's really different from any of the other health insurance providers that I would suggest you've ever talked to. Because the first thing he wants to know from you is what kind of coverage do you have right now? What are you looking to change? What works for you? What doesn't work for you? And then he gets to work for you, finding you alternatives that are better in price, that are better in coverage, and he shops the entire marketplace, right? So you know that you're not getting forced into a program that maybe isn't right for you, because if you shop the entire marketplace, well, that's the entire marketplace. That's what Shane Ring does at Cover Nash. Now, don't fall for these tricks that the health insurance companies like to use about open enrollment this, open enrollment that. Look, I understand that sometimes of the year it can be a little bit trickier, but when you have someone as knowledgeable as Shane to help work the system, he can find a way to get you in a better situation. You do not have to play by Washington's rules. You can cut your costs by 40 to 60%. You can keep your doctor in your hospital, and you can skip the government red tape. It's all about Shane Ring and Cover Nash. Give him a call if you're self-employed, uninsured, or tired of paying too much. 615-465-0023. 615-465-0023 or online at coverdash.com. We've had a great time out of the boat show from Nashville Fairgrounds over the course of the last 4 hours. I thank all of you that have stopped by to say hello to us. I've got a few other people to thank. Let's see. I want to thank CJ. He's done a great job today. CJ, you've done well. Kirby, he's done fabulous today. I want to thank him. I want to thank Will. Will's done a fine job. Just met Will today. Who else? I want to thank our brother station at 104.5 The Zone. 3HL. Oh, Mark Sheriff. He's great. He's fabulous. Thank you to Freddie O'Connell, the mayor, for what it's worth, for stopping by. Who else? Thanks to all the folks that have said hello to us.
What about who brought the gravitas?
That's so creepy. Oh, it's so creepy. You should. The other day, somebody got him to say it puts the lotion on its skin or it will get the hose again. And it was, do it.
It puts the lotion on its skin or else it gets the hose again.
That's a little
And
formal.
that's the way it was. I'm Ken Weaver.
Look, they're honking for you over there in the corner. Jackson, thank you for everything that you do for the show.
Oh, thanks for nothing?
He said it. I didn't say it. Hey, you know what? I just realized I was showing you this news story. You know what it almost is? It's almost spring practice.
Well, free agency's next week in the NFL.
How about that? What is the SEC tournament this weekend? This coming week? Next weekend. I don't have to. I'm a Georgia Bulldog fan. I don't have to worry about that. One and done, baby. One and done. All right, that's going to wrap it up for us. We've got a First Amendment Freestyle Friday edition for tomorrow's show. Until then, I hope every single one of you have a great evening. Matt Murphy speaking and saying for the entire crew, hug your loved ones. So long, everybody.
Mm-hmm.